Good evening, South Windsor, and welcome to the South Windsor Town Council regular meeting on Monday, May 15th at 7 p.m. Could we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councillor Evans.
Here.
Councillor Kaboski.
Here.
Councillor Lopez. Councillor Paterna.
Here.
Mayor Pendleton.
Present.
Deputy Mayor King.
Here.
Councillor Kozakowski.
Here.
Councillor Gamble.
Here.
Councillor Leidecker.
Thank you. We're now on the mayor's remarks, and this evening I'd like to present a proclamation. It is Public Works Recognition Week, I believe, and I can be corrected on that by our Public Works folks when I get up there. I do. Please join me. There's a little thing that was here. I'm too tall for too short. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Wonderful. How are you? Okay, so Vincent. This is Vincent, our employee of Public Works, and you are the director of Public Works, right?
Correct.
There we go. I'm going to read this proclamation to you, sir, and then you're going to take over with what you need to do.
Okay.
So, on behalf of the town of South Windsor, I have a proclamation to present. Whereas the Public Works Division of Engineering, Facilities, Highway Maintenance, Fleet Services, Refuge and Recycling, and Water Pollution Control focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital to the safety, health, and economy and comfort of a community. And whereas these infrastructure facilities and services are provided by the dedicated efforts of Public Works engineers, managers, and employees who are professionals responsible for rebuilding, improving, maintaining, and protecting our roads, sidewalks, public buildings, wastewater treatment facilities, solid waste system, and associated structures and facilities essential for our residents. And whereas pursuant to Homeland Security Presidential Directive, Public Works employees are designated first responders, responsible for the protection of life, property, and the environment, and thank you for that. Whereas during emergency events like snowstorms, hurricanes, floods, and other natural disasters, the Public Works Department are not only first responders, but remain on the scene and provide services until normalcy is restored to the community. And please pass on the thank you to your departments for that. Whereas the men and women of Public Works are committed to providing quality services, have been innovators and leaders in the Public Works community, both statewide and nationally, and are proud to be of service to the town of South Windsor. And whereas May 21st through the 27th, 2023, is a 63rd Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. And now therefore be it resolved that I, Elizabeth Pendleton, Mayor of the town of South Windsor, acting on behalf of the Town Council and the residents of South Windsor, do hereby formally designate May 21 through 27, 2023, as Public Works Week in the town of South Windsor, and be it further resolved to offer this citation proclamation to publicly salute the dedicated service of the members of the South Windsor Public Works Department to the residents of our community. National Public Works Week, signed by myself, Mayor Pendleton, Deputy Mayor King, Councillor Evans, Gamble, Kaboski, Kozakowski, Lopez, Leidecker, and Paterna. And congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor and fellow councilors. We're well aware of the test you guys have at hand this evening, so we'll try to keep this as short as possible. As you know, it's going to be Public Works Week next week, and it's an opportunity for the Public Works community to give back to communities that they serve, while also bringing just a little bit of spotlight to what we do day in and day out And one of the things that we're going to be doing is on May 20th, we're going to be having a Public Works food drive in front of Stop and Shop from 9 a.m. to 12. And all that food goes to the South Windsor Food Bank, which is always looking for goods to store up and hand out to folks. And then the following week, we're going to have a touch-a-truck style event where we have an elementary school come and they tour the pollution control plant to see how that process works and kind of set up everything that we do at the garage. So they have an idea of what the public works industry is all about, and it's just a really good day for the kids. We also like to recognize some members of the community during Public Works Week. Mike Gantic started this back in, I believe, 2007. It's the Rich Boudreau Award, where we go and recognize an employee and a business partner for just work that exceeds expectations and is just, ahead above the rest. Jeff, would you like to take it from here?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Yes, so tonight we'd like to recognize two people who have contributed to Public Works, both within the organization and from outside the organization, who have been show their dedication, their positivity, their willingness to work with the town to get things done, again, whether internal or external, and the good work they've done during the year. So the first person we'd like to recognize is Jim Butler, who's a member of Public Works staff and has been for some time. Jim, come on up. So I'll just read this letter we sent you, Jim, your wife. Congratulations on being recognized as a 2023 Richard Boudreau Award recipient. You have exemplified the qualities that have helped deliver quality services for the citizens of South Windsor. We thank you, Jim, for steadfastly being there for your work family, and conversely, Laura, your wife, for supporting you throughout the years, giving you the ability to be a benchmark of reliability and a member of too many of the staff that have worked with you over your years, over your tenure. You have gone about your career without fanfare relative to the great work you do. You have executed a plethora of difficult projects, have spent countless hours behind the wheel, and driven more miles in snowy weather than most. It goes without saying that you embody the essence of what the Rich Boudreau Award is all about. And we congratulate you, and we present you with, thank you. Come on over here to the microphone.
I think we need a little explanation on the sign and what that all means, please.
So let's see here. Well, my first new truck that I got assigned to for snow was 2008, and it's a Freightliner, and I guess I wore it out, and I got another one. It's number 44, but the original one was 48, and I called it Precious because that's what I call my wife at 43 years. So I always want, we spend more hours, managers and everybody, more hours away from our family than with our family lots of times. So that's what that is. And this one's even, this one's WWJBD. This is, give me a moment, WWJBD. So we have lots of new hires come and go a little bit, but we try to teach them the right way and the wrong way and all of that. So one morning, as Markle handed out our work orders, I happened to be going around the corner. There was a bunch of the young folks talking amongst themselves, and I heard somebody say WWJBD. It's like what's that? Well, when we don't know kind of like what we do, it's what would Jimmy Butler do? So I thought that's like. I'm just a reflection of, as far as the center pieces goes, everyone on the public what else is over far. So you guys get a good thing for your time.
We do, and you guys are a great family. Congratulations, sir. Jeff, how long has he been an employee?
Excuse me?
How long has he been an employee?
Jim?
God bless
22
you. Thank you so
22
much
years.
for your service.
I grew up in town here, my brother and sister still live in town.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Thank you for your dedication.
Thank you.
And then, we always pick somebody from outside the organization, we call a business partner, who has worked with us through the years, and again, contributed to the quality of work that Public Works has done and continues to do and gone above and beyond in helping us to perform excellent services to the town of South Windsor and its residents. And this year, we want to issue that award to Victor Sarambana. Come on up, Victor, of BMS Construction. Come on up. Did I pronounce your name right? Okay. Victor has been working with us for many years. He's been around this area many, many years. I think he took over a family business. So congratulations on being recognized as a 2023 Business Partner Public Works Award recipient. You have exemplified the qualities that have helped us deliver quality services to the citizens of South Windsor. We thank you and your talented staff for their efforts throughout the years. You've gone about your business without fanfare, again, relative to the work you do, and you've executed many difficult projects for the town. Victor's one of the contractors we call when we have a particularly difficult project. So we want to thank you for that, such as the Clark Street Pump Station valve replacement. That was not an easy project. It was done in January, I think, or February. Some of the worst weather conditions we had, and you guys got it done, and you got it done neatly and within schedule and budget. So we thank you for that. You also worked on Pear Tree Drainage Solution, which again had been a problem for many years, and you were able to fix that problem and work on a number of other projects for other customers. So you should be proud on how you and your employees and your company have represented yourselves in providing excellent services to the town. And we thank you for that, and we want to issue you this 2023 Business Partner Award. Yep. Sarambana. BMS Construction. Thank you, Victor.
Thank you, sir, for your help with our community and everything that you and your company do. We appreciate you very much. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, and enjoy your week. And we're extremely proud of our Public Works Department, all that you guys do, and all the employees that we have there. And you guys definitely are a strong family. So thank you. We'll be moving on now in our budget. And we now have, and I'd just like to say welcome to all the high schoolers that are here this evening to do their civic duty to watch a council meeting. And what you just saw was a prime example of wonderful people that we have in our community and that work for our community. We'll just give the room a minute to clear out. And now we're on item number 5, Deputy Mayor King, adoption of the agenda, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that our agenda be adopted as written.
Is there a second? Is there any changes, corrections, deletions, moving anything up? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. I'd just like to point out that we have a public hearing this evening at 8 o'clock that we'll be briefing the meeting for. Item number 6 is communications and reports from the town manager, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In my written report to all of you, the Parks and Recreation Department has officially made the move to Orchard Hill. There's still some minor work and punch list items that need to be taken care of, but the majority of the hazardous material remediation and modification have been made and completed. With this temporary move, I've been asked by the building department and fire department, or fire marshal, what the permanent solution will be for the Parks and Recreation Department. I'm planning to have those conversations with both departments to outline what would need to be done in the event the community decides to make Old Orchard Hill the permanent location for Parks and Recreation. In terms of our Pleasant Valley Bridge project, in preparation to get this project completed over the coming summer construction period, The town put this project out to bid. The low bid came in $800,000 over the planned budget. Staff is currently working on a plan to determine how to get this project done within budgeted funds. That is one of the items that's in our capital plan that's under consideration tonight, so I believe that'll probably be part of our conversation then. Also, diversity, equity, and inclusivity training. The town held a mandatory diversity, equity, inclusivity training for all staff on May 4th. The training was delivered by Kerma, the town's insurance carrier. In the event an employee missed the training, they will be required to take the online training instead. Also wanted to make everybody aware that the Water Pollution Control Authority will be adopting their budget and reducing their operating expenses while shifting funding to their capital funds with the intent of focusing on the needed replacement of wastewater infrastructure. User fees will be moving from $425 to $460 per 74,000 gallons annually. And then lastly, not on my report, I wanted to ask Mrs. Keys to come on up, and she can talk to you a little bit about 4th-R and the work that we've been doing to try to expand that program and expand offerings overall for before and after school care for children within the community.
To move it all the way down. Yeah. All right. Awesome. All right. Good evening, everyone. I want to start off by saying the last month or so we have moved locations, and I wanted to give a shout out before I go into the presentation about how fantastic our staff have been on both the recreation and the park side to move our facility without interrupting any of our programs. So we are extremely thankful and proud for the hard work that our staff have put in to ensure that we didn't have any disruption in our programming. So why I'm here tonight, I'm here to discuss what our department is working on to answer the before and after school needs for the community. It's been an ongoing thing that we know for years as our population has increased. 4th-R is in a high demand due to our fact that we're safe, engaging, and have a high quality nature within our program. Originally, back when this issue arose for the need for additional childcare, there was the after-school committee that was created, and staff had researched other viable options in town and also came up with this lottery system to ensure there was more equitable ways for families to get into the program. Fast forward to this year, we did still move forward with doing a lottery system, and that was to evaluate the need for additional care in the community, as it's important for us when we go to develop programs to really see what our need is so we can accurately plan staff, space, and other factors including materials, one-on-ones, and nursing. During the last few months, our department has working to ensure that we can assist in covering any identified gaps in care and programming during out-of-school times. So some of the things we've been working on, first and foremost, I thought it was imperative for us to create relationships with licensed child care centers in town to really kind of see what was going on in terms of verified openings throughout the town and if there was transportation options as well that went to each school. And through that, I was able to start to create a guide that we have sent out to our families that kind of highlights some of the centers that I was able to connect with. And that includes Learning Center, the Bright Path, YWCA, the Goddard School, and there's actually one additional one that is coming into fruition. Precisely Panda, hopefully we're going to be working with as well. I found it really valuable to connect with these centers as they are all licensed, they have wonderful programs, and since childcare is a community-wide issue, we felt that creating these partnerships and collaboration will help strengthen our community overall. So we've been doing that over the last couple weeks. I've met some wonderful childcare workers throughout the town that do have verified openings and transportation, although it is harder for them because they tend to have 15-passenger vans and not buses due to the issue of insurance and costs for busing for the private entities. Moving on, so within our programs, so we developed a partnership with a new contractor that is going to be providing before and after school clubs, and we are discussing what it would look like to expand the numbers within a reasonable capacity if there's a need for that for before and after school. So once that contract's solidified, we are hopeful to announce it within the next couple weeks. This partnership that we're going to have is going to be a wonderful asset for our department, and it's going to ensure the kids have a safe place to go after school, homework, help, and also just enrichment opportunities. And then lastly, right now we've developed a partnership with iCode as well, which will be directly after school and on half-day Wednesdays. We're still looking to expand further half-day Wednesday options as well. whether that's enrichment opportunities, physical activity opportunities. We're just seeing what partnerships we can continue to create and then offer in those spaces. The identified partnerships and programs I mentioned do cover the needs that we have on record, and I'm going to talk about our wait lists and what openings we have currently. But with that being said, although it covers what we have currently, we're still exploring what other options we can do to continue to expand, so that way whenever someone comes through our door, we have that resource guide for options of enrichment before and after, or childcare centers that would fit that family's need in terms of cost, time, and other factors that come with before and after school needs. We did find that if need be, if there's a huge need and for some reason we can't accommodate it in the schools or through one of our after-school offerings that will be at the facilities, that we would look at exploring the option of offering something at our building. The only caveat with that is that our department would have to look at what it would be to lease a bus or purchase busing, which we do in our after school for like vacation camp or for summer camps. There's obviously a cost that it goes with that, so that would be an option if we had the resources to do so, but there is a cost that is associated with that. So we are, prioritizing the options that we can have right at the school for the time being. And then in terms of communication, again, as you all understand, it really takes time and care to develop and execute safe and quality programs that our community deserves. So our families throughout the lottery system, whenever we have someone come in the front office or call, we always have the fact of being transparent and saying, like, here's what we have right now, here's what we're planning on having, we're working towards this. We're really trying to meet the needs of our families, and we sent out a follow-up email that reiterated that as well this afternoon to our families. We really wanted to remove the barriers and help ease that stress, so we are working on all of the potential options that we can deliver for our community. And I do want to address what we have right now for openings. So for right now, for Eli Terry, we do not have any wait lists. We actually have 6 openings in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. Orchard Hill, we do have a slight wait list. The unique participants on both AM and PM is 13 total. So in the morning we have 6 on the wait list, but 3 of those are in the afternoon program, and then 10 is in the afternoon. Philip R. Smith, we do have a wait list of 13 and 6. In Pleasant Valley, we only have a morning wait list of 6, but we have 9 openings in the afternoon. And with all of those numbers, we did evaluate the contracts that we're about to be executing for the other programs, and they cover those needs, and then we'll have additional spaces. We're also looking at what we can reasonably do within our programs with the one-on-ones, the nursing, and the space to expand those, so that way the kids are there before and after school. But that is my discussion.
And that is all I have for the rest of my report. If anybody has any question, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Thank you, Molly, for the update. Ms. Keys, I appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions for the town manager, please? Councilor Leidecker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate the 4th hour update. I'm going to sit here and honestly state I'm a little frustrated. There should be no wait lists at 4th hour. Our town manager promised that the program would expand when we said no to the Board of Ed's offering. There should be no wait list. If we can accommodate extra outsourced programs in the school building, there is clearly space, and we should be able to accommodate these kids into 4th R. That is the draw of 4th R, is the counselors that we hire, the trainings we put them through, the on-site services, the lower cost. That is the drive of 4th R. It's not to bus kids to the Park and Rec building. That was something that was discussed in the Before and After Care Committee in 2018. I was a member of it. That was said a no to. So, child care centers, talk to me about PRS. There's no daycare options in PRS. So when we have 13 kids on a wait list in a morning with no daycare options in that section, there should be no wait list. So what I am asking And I think I asked for it in 2018. I asked for it in 2019. Our town manager promised it. When we said no to the Board of Ed, we said there would be no wait lists. So what I would like to hear when we have this discussion again after the budget is how we have eliminated the wait list at PRS especially because of the lack of daycare options. And then we can start talking about Orchard Hill, which has the second highest. Especially if I recall, they're now changing schedules. So the fact that our schools are changing schedules, that's throwing a lot of parents off. There's a lot of Pleasant Valley parents who now don't need the afternoon and need the morning, and we have a wait list. So I thank you for the report, but we made a promise to the town, and I think we need to fulfill that promise, or we need to start talking to the Board of Ed again about what program that they're gonna bring in. So no comments, no questions, but that's my comment.
Thank you, Councilor Decker. Deputy Mayor King, please.
Thank you, Molly. My question is more to, thank you, Madam Mayor, I apologize.
No worries.
Was more to the town manager. In regards to the Pleasant Valley Bridge bids, and just, it could just be from my recollection, when did we put that out for bid?
I think it was probably like 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so just 4 weeks ago, okay. So, did we, and again, this is just from my recollection, we knew we had to do this. I'm just wondering, is there any way we could have kind of squeezed in any of that ARPA money to cover any of this?
Well, ARPA money is used for alleviating the impacts of COVID. So, you can use, so one of the, to kind of give you a view underneath the hood of some of the ideas that we're tossing around, one of the ideas that we're looking at is in capital, there's a couple projects for chillers and air conditioning units. So one of the things we're looking at, since those have to do with air quality, we were talking about possibly using ARPA funds that are left over from savings and other projects to do those, which would then open up other funds in capital to then do the bridge project. So we're kind of tossing some of those ideas around. That said, I don't think it's the 100% magic fix, but I do believe that it gets us down that path.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor King. Councilor Evans.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask more questions or ask questions about the fourth hour program. In some of our communication, there was expressed that the Park and Rec was looking at expanding 30 spots. Does this wait list include the 30 spots already opened, and this is what is beyond those newly opened 30 spots?
So we'd evaluated how we were able to accommodate and expand in all the schools, so this is on top of it. Correct. So there is a need for the additional spaces, which is why we were, we stated in our original emails that we were going to assist in covering any identified gaps in care and programming during out-of-school times. I don't take lightly to that. That's why I found reputable places that are very similar to Fourth R. I would never bring in something that wasn't. And they are working with us, with our curriculum and everything, to ensure that we could take those gaps in those kids.
So I've had parents reach out to me about this, and I know, as you probably know, that having their student go to the school where they are going to attend school, not having to worry about that transportation issue is definitely a plus. I did have one parent that reached out, was not aware that there was going to be other potential options or other things open potentially within the school. And she was very concerned because her child will be starting kindergarten and he has a lot of transitional issues. So I had encouraged her to call you, hopefully she did. But I think that's like a factor too with these families and having to deal with the transportational issues. If we are able to offer programs at Orchard Hill, that means we have the staff. The school has said they're willing to give us space. Could that staff be used in the school locations?
Correct, yes.
So we don't necessarily need to have it at Orchard Hill and look at transportation, Old Orchard Hill, sorry. We could have it, new rec, we could have it at the schools if the space is available.
Correct, yeah. We were just, the only reason we were looking at expanding and putting it at our other building was in case there was a huge influx of need. A lot of other towns do it and they bus the kids everywhere. Is it the most viable option? No, it is absolutely not. It's easier for a parent to drop off at their school they're going to be at for the whole entire day. But we were just exploring that option because many other towns do that model. So that was our only other unique piece of it, because we are trying to also accommodate the fact that the schools are going to be giving us classrooms, and that really does impede on the teachers as well and their prep time and their cleaning schedules. And so we're trying to balance that piece.
And I think, I know, the schools, if the Board of Ed had taken this on, they were planning to kind of open it wide, right? They didn't have a cap. So I think that we should try to honor that. We should try to find ways to have the students in their schools. And the superintendent has made clear in past years that she will give that space if we want it. I know, this is very much a night, I think we're focused on budget, and I hope that we can have a conversation at a meeting next month and kind of look more at these details. But my hope is that we can really let the families know that we are going to honor this and going to have these options in the schools. And that's my goal for there.
And we do want to work with the community. I never want to turn people away because we don't have options. That's why I'm trying to figure out very creative methods in order to ensure that we have the right care for every child. So we will continue to work on those solutions.
I'm sure you've put a lot of time into it in the middle of moving, so I appreciate that. And then I did just want to ask for an update on the splash pad, because on my drive here, I did go by it. There's a gate and a lot of grass. And I think the last time we were updated was maybe 4 weeks ago.
Yep.
When is that planning to start?
Yeah, so I wish that I could say that we have the equipment here. They back ordered it, so we are just waiting on that. We have our contractor ready to go as soon as the equipment arrives. 2 weeks ago, they said they would ship it at the end of that week, and then I reached out last week and they said, nope, it's not getting pushed until the end of this week. But as soon as it gets delivered here, we do have the contractor ready to go. We have everything in place. If we could do it ourselves, we would.
It's
But
like
we
our
are not.
IT stuff. It's on a boat somewhere in the middle of the ocean coming to us.
Yeah, we're really unsure of what the holdup is on the equipment end, but everything is all in place and ready to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Counselor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I like to do my homework, due diligence before these meetings, and so hearing this report was helpful, but it just, to me, came out of left field, and so I wasn't expecting you to get up and give us all this information about what's been going on, and it would have been really helpful for at least me, I don't want to speak for the other counselors, if we had this information in some sort of, in our packet, so that we could have understood what the purpose of this, sort of impromptu town manager section was, what you wanted to get out of it, what you wanted us to gain from that. And so I would
A lot of it's come to fruition over the since Friday to today. There's been a lot of work that's happened between those periods of time, so there was no way we could get that into a packet for you until,
Is there
we
still,
figured it
but,
was
is, but
important.
I mean, okay, fair enough, but I'd still like to see something at some point, just because I feel like there's a lot of information to digest, and we all have our opinions one way or the other. So with the option of expanding, is this going to mean that there is a budgetary implications in any scenario that you see?
There's potentials for budgetary implications depending on the size of the expansion that does occur. I think it's important to remember that we've heard everything from our wait list this last year, which was 16, and when we called through the entire wait list to find out how many people were actually still interested, it was, I think, almost 0, to estimates of 400 people that were out there waiting to come to the program. So we had no idea what we were actually going to be looking at. So that's part of the reason why we had to put a wait list in place to determine what we had and where people were going to, and where we have to reallocate those resources to. So I believe the sign up was 2 weeks ago now? Correct. So 2 weeks ago, we held our sign up where the wait list was created. We're in the process of sifting through that wait list, figuring out where people are really going, what those needs are that still remain, and we'll be meeting those needs moving forward.
Okay. So moving on to something different. So this bridge project, I believe we had said that it was a $1.1 million that we had to pay this out of next year's capital. What was that 1.1 million for? Am I mixing apples and oranges?
Gosh, I don't remember the whole number off the top of my
I-
head. There
but-
was
but
a
that-
portion that we had in last year's budget and another portion that we're putting out in this one. If you have the,
That's what we have to pay? Okay. And so this $800,000 increase, if we had to do this, it would also come out of that same fund that would lower, okay. We don't need to have this conversation now. I know we have the budget discussion later, but just wanted to make sure I understood.
yeah, I do also want to just take the caveat to it as well that, my hope is that staff, well, my direction to staff is that they're going to go back and take a look at it and see if they can value engineer it down a little bit as well. We don't need to have stamped concrete and other things on the bridge if we can't afford to have it. So there's got to be ways that we can try to bring that number down a little bit as well. So we're going to do the best that we can to bring the number down as much as we can and then use some creative methods to try to find funding in other places.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Counselor Gamble. Counselor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just going to piggyback off of that a little bit to answer the question how much we needed to budget in next year's budget for this bridge project. Coming from the Capital Planning Committee's spreadsheet, it was $1.445 million to finish the bridge project. So this 800 would be on top of that, bringing the value to 2.2 million and change. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for the town manager? Counselor Evans.
Thank you. I think, to Counselor Gamble's point, and I do really appreciate the update, I think that if maybe we could plan at next month's meeting, it'll be June 5th, which would be after that time that you said by the end of this month, we would have an idea of where things stand. If we could have an item on our agenda where we could really have the information and discuss it at our next meeting, to have once we've gone through the budget and we've gotten through that process, to discuss it at our next meeting. I would really appreciate that.
Would it be more appropriate for the second meeting in June so we can have, or do you want it at the first meeting?
My only concern is that families really are trying to figure out what they're doing for next school year. And I think even now, families are finding other options. So like when you mentioned the wait list for this year, families that were on the wait list since September or whenever they joined the wait list had already found other options. So I feel like it's kind of a little, not misleading, but it's hard to judge based on that wait list to know what the need was this year. So I think we don't want to create that same situation where we have forced families into alternate solutions that they don't really want. So I'd rather know sooner to give families that option before they need to make other choices.
Would you be capable of giving us some answers for the first meeting in June?
Yes.
Thank you. Then that'll go on the agenda for the first meeting in June. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. Is there any, Councilor Paterno, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to thank Director of Parks and Recreation, Ms. Keys. I know this is a difficult project, but I commend you and the staff for making the progress that you've made, and we're headed toward the right goal, and that's what's the most important thing. So thank you very much for your work.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. And I see no other questions. We'll be moving on the agenda. Item number 7 is public input for any items on the agenda. Public input shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by myself, the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or imputing or alleging improper motive to any person. The speakers may address the council on any item on the agenda. The speakers shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council on any items on the agenda? Please come forward. And make sure you turn the microphone on and move it close. And identify yourself and your address.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Deputy Mayor King and members of the Town Council. I'm Daria Plummer. I live at 235 Orchard Hill Drive. And I am here to speak on the budget. Over the years, this town has just grown immensely. It is a beautiful place to live and stay and flourish. And we just heard from Park and Rec, and we just honored Public Works. We are no longer the small little community we once were. We are a thriving, prosperous, wonderful community of which to be very proud. And with that comes your job. About 8 months of the year, every organization or department within the town has to work on a budget. And it culminates in an evening like tonight. And it's a long, long journey. And I thank you for it, because you've walked it and you've sat it for just about 8 months. But as you've heard and as you know, we are a community that is growing in students. We are a community that has needs, sadly, like every other community in this country, for increased safety. And we are, like every other community in this nation, out of COVID, but still have special needs that affect our population because of COVID, and it has not gone away. This is the biggest ask that the Board of Education has ever had. Hopefully, it will be the biggest ask that they will ever have to ask. But your role in the fiscal responsibility of managing a community does not always mean fiscal restraint. And you've heard from me and others throughout this season that our schools have these needs and they aren't going away. And for years, we've been prepping and saving and perhaps even marginalizing what we could have done, but it does come to fruition every now and then when you have to have this ask. You have to take care of what you have. And if you don't, it'll be detrimental. We don't want that. I am a senior citizen. I choose to live in this community. I want to stay in this community. I am proud of this community. I think it's fabulous that people want to live here and they're not fleeing this community. I think that is an honor to say that we are from South Windsor. So that being said, I know you have a tremendous responsibility. You have a Board of Ed budget, you have a town government budget, you have to merge the two, and I know you have to set a mill rate. I am okay, absolutely okay, with going full forward, freight forward, paying anything I have to pay to keep this community where it is. So I thank you very much. I hope you will fully support the board budget and will support the town budget as much as you humanly and possibly can do. Thank you very much.
Ms. Plummer, I have to say that was the best speech you've ever given, and I thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak to the council on any item on the agenda? Anyone else from the public on any item on the agenda? Good evening, Mr. Malboni.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, councilors, people of the public. I apologize I don't have any handouts tonight. I'm sure you've all missed me. I had a very difficult April, but I'm back. I actually, too, wanted to speak about the budget. I actually loved just about everything Mrs. Plummer said. And I think that we should pass the Board of Ed budget right away, as I've already been told that where it can be and should be cut is state mandated, and we can't cut it. Very unfortunate. As to the town budget, I'm sure there's plenty more, or the government budget, I'm sure there's plenty of other things that could be cut. I wish I had had more time to look over it, and I wish that many of you had the financial background to actually look at it a little better than any of you did. I understand that at least one council member dug into it pretty deep, but some of the things we came up with weren't very well welcomed by the townspeople. Our charter actually says that after considering the recommendations of the public hearing or hearings, the council shall, not later than May 15th, adopt its school budget, that's today, which shall be known as Part 1 of the annual town budget, and not later than May 22nd, the council shall adopt its manager's budget, which shall be known as Part 2 of the annual budget. So that gives us a whole nother week. We could actually come up with something, maybe, to reduce our taxes. As with the new assessments and everything else, I know everybody's nervous. I know everybody's looking at probably a 10 to 14% increase in their taxes after a 33% increase on the assessments. Of course, we have to wait to see to what the rate maker comes up with. Then I just want to read something quick having to do with the state budget and maybe inspire some of you to take another look at things and maybe put it off for another week. But if anybody read the Connecticut Republicans, they're working overtime to fight for a balanced budget and lower taxes. In the consecutive weeks, the Connecticut House Republicans and Senate Republicans rolled out common sense budget, which delivers historic tax cuts to Connecticut residents. In quotes, with the inflation and cost of living increases that residents have suffered through during Democrat rule in Connecticut and the failed economic policies of the Biden-Harris administration, these Republican budget and tax relief proposals come at a time when they are most needed. Connecticut's residents need tax relief, and the state government must make responsible budgeting decisions to ensure the tax relief remain, said State Republican Chairman Ben Proto. Connecticut Republicans in both the House and Senate deserve our praise and thanks for putting these proposals forward.
Hey, sir, I don't understand how this has anything to do with an item on our agenda.
The budget?
That is not directed towards South Windsor? That's state?
I'm just trying to inspire you.
I'm sorry?
I'm just trying to inspire you to relook at our budget.
Oh, we've been inspired, sir, for 6 weeks by digesting the budget. Thank you.
I apologize.
I'd
I
like to
wasn't
stay
here
on
for any
focus
of
of
that.
our items on our agenda, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I will thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak to the council members on any item on the agenda? Anyone from the public would like to speak to the council on any items on the agenda? Bless you. I'm not seeing any. We'll move on, please. Thank you. We'll now move on to item number 8. Councilor Kozakowski, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Adoption of minutes of the previous meetings. I believe we'll take them one at a time. Motion to approve of the April 17, 2023 Town Council meeting minutes. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the revised minutes of the regular Town Council meeting of April 17, 2023.
Is there a second? Is there any deletions, corrections, additions? Councilor Gamble?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councilor Grabowski, for pointing this out, using surnames on the minutes. And so item 15, public input for any matter.
Page, please, sir.
Page 9 of 10. Audrey Delnicki informs the council of a formal FOI request, period. She requests to know. I'd like that changed to Ms. Delnicki. Keeping with our standard of practice. And that's it for April 17th that I found. Thank you.
Ms. Palmer, you're good with that? You know where he's referencing? Okay. And all those in favor of the correction? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. And all those in favor of the minutes? Adoption of these minutes? All those, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Going on to the next one, please.
Motion to approve the minutes of the May 1st, 2023 regular Town Council minutes. Be it resolved that South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the regular Town Council meeting of May 1st, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any corrections, deletions, additions? Councilor Gamble.
2 small things, Madam Mayor, thank you. Number 6, communications and reports from the town manager on page 2 of 10. The second sentence is missing the word hall. After town, should read town hall renovations are underway. And then on.
Just a minute.
Yep.
Ms. Palma, did you get that? Okay, go ahead, Ms.
And then number 7, public input for items on the agenda. Joe Kennedy, 81 Allison Drive. The second sentence should say, Mr. Kennedy does not support the economic coordinator position. Those are my 2 corrections.
Okay.
Thank you.
And all those in favor of those corrections?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. And all those in favor, and so the motion carries. And all those in favor of the adoption of the minutes of May 1? Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Kozakowski and Councilor Gamble. Moving on to item number 9. Communications from liaisons, officers, and boards directly responsible to the council. Does anyone have any communications that they'd like to share with us? Councilor Kozakowski, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to report that the Planning and Zoning Commission held a meeting last Tuesday where they adopted zoning text amendments addressing warehouses and other types of industrial manufacturing type uses. Those regulations have been modified from the original version that was released to the public and had a public hearing on. The revisions address comments that were received at the public hearing, as well as a result of deliberations that the commission had. The approved language can be found on the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage, on the town website, and they will be effective as of May 28th. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. Is there any other reports from any liaisons? Councilor Evans.
Thank you. HRC met recently. They will hold a Race Amity celebration a Race Amity Day celebration on June 11th at VMP to celebrate the different cultures of South Windsor. There will be some treats available, but they are finalizing those plans. So more to come on that. Also, Park and Rec Commission met on top of a report of all the great work that the Parks and the Rec Department are doing. They are also planning to work further on their master plan. The subcommittee, they're looking to expand the subcommittee to work as a whole group to continue to work on the master plan and the survey too, I believe. So that's something that they're going to work on as a whole group now instead.
Thank you, Councilor Evans. Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a question for Councilor Kozakowski in the P&Z meeting. I know that recently a plan was sent to the Department of Transportation for Connecticut about the sidewalk issue. Any discussion of any response from the state? Did you hear anything, any mention of it?
As I understand it, they are still under pending litigation with that. I'm assuming you mean the Geisler project.
Yeah.
Any discussion that would be had on that would be held in an executive session where I would not be invited to. There was no executive session on the agenda of their last meeting, so I have no word one way or another on that. But thank you for throwing the floor back to me. There was a couple things I did fail to mention in my report.
Excuse me, just a second, since I had him on the floor. Are you good with the answer? You're good. Okay, now we're going to go to Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Councilor Paterno, Madam Mayor. I just want to also report that tomorrow the commission is having a workshop with the consultants that are helping them draft the next update of the Plan of Conservation and Development. And I do want to share with the council and the public that, I wish I had the flyer somewhere in here, that the Planning and Zoning Commission with the consultants are going to be holding a community workshop on June 6th at 7 p.m. at the community center, where the public is welcome to the public, and they're encouraged to come and help craft the next Plan of Conservation and Development. Here's the flyer that's been passed around. I believe that it's on the website. So I encourage everybody that has an interest in help shaping South Windsor in the future to come and provide their input. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kozakowski. Can I have my flyer back, please? Thank you. And I have one addition, if you all don't mind. I would like the expert who is on the Patriotic Commission to, Deputy Mayor King, you go first.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only thing I wanted to bring up was just in regards to every once in a while, we have things that happen in our community, to use Ms. Plummer's word, which I agree with, that sometimes one half of our community is not aware of. And whether that be, say, with our WPCA and working with odors that are coming from Main Street, it may not really affect those who are on the other side of the world on Ellington Road or Dart or something to that effect. I bring that up to say that as the liaison to the Inland Wetland Agency Conservation Commission, that there is an application 23-11P at 75 Connecticut Boulevard, that a number of our community, I'll continue to use that word, especially as we go through this budget process, that they have concerns about the impact to their homes, their neighbors' homes, in regards to the changes in the redirection of the existing wetlands. And so if anyone has any other concerns, I ask that you come to those meetings, express those concerns, just because one day it may be your side of the community that has a concern. And so just because it's not right now, it could affect you. And so no different than when we have all of our warehouse concerns that are on one side, whether you agree or disagree. Just remember that sooner or later that could be on your side of the world too. So I just wanted to put that out there because I did find it very significant, the fact that all of these different neighbors, no different than when the warehouse was coming up and the community came and said, hey, because communities are fighting it all over, that we have another situation, again, application 23-11P at 75 Connecticut Boulevard.
Connecticut Avenue.
Connecticut Avenue? Is that what it is?
Because Connecticut Boulevard's in East Hartford. You threw me for a second, but it's
Hey.
Connecticut Avenue.
Hey,
sorry.
I'm just going off of, everybody keeps putting in Boulevard. So, yes, Connecticut Avenue. My mistake. Connecticut Avenue. I just wanted to leave that out there for those community members that had those opinions. I appreciated them. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor King. And now I would ask for Ms. Plummer, who is the Secretary of the Patriotic Commission, to please address the town with the festivities that we have going on here in the month
I
of
would be
May.
delighted. There are 4 things that I believe everyone in the community should know about. First of all, as you've seen the signs up around town, we have Armed Forces Day this coming Saturday, 5 to 8 p.m. with spectacular fireworks afterwards, coming at dusk at Nevers Road Park. And thank you, please, to Public Works for putting up the sign and for Park and Rec for everything that they have been doing and will do that day for Armed Forces Day. And I just want to backtrack one quick second. Congratulations to Mayor Pendleton and 25 other veterans in this community. Your banners are up. They are spectacular. They are at Nevers Road Park, at the community center, at lower and upper parking lots, and out front here in front of the Town Hall Library Complex. We thank you for your service. They're just spectacular, and I happened to be there when veterans came to see their banners 2 nights before, and I will tell you, it makes my year. It is absolutely phenomenal. Then following that, we have Memorial Day Parade on Memorial Day, May 29. It starts at 10 a.m. and it proceeds down Nutmeg Road South, I think I'm correct, and then takes a left onto Pleasant Valley Road, culminating at Veterans Memorial Park for the ceremony at 11, which is, again, absolutely meaningful, and if community members can come, that would be fabulous. And lastly, on your, it is your next meeting, June 5, I believe, we have the honor with the Patriotic Commission to come with our 12 poster and essay contest winners from the school system, and they are spectacular. It's a spectacular evening always, and we thank you very much for greeting and meeting them and honoring them that evening. So thank you very much for your continued support of the Patriotic Commission. We are really very proud of our involvement in this community and what the community does for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Plummer. I'd like to recess the regular meeting at this time and open it for our public hearing, which is to be held at 8 o'clock. Ms. Poma, could you please read the notice?
To be published in the Journal Inquirer, May 8th, 2023, legal ad, Town of South Windsor. Notice is hereby given that the South Windsor Town Council has set Monday, May 15, 2023, at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the appropriation of $70,000 from the capital non-recurring account to the recreation move to Old Orchard Hill building located at 350 Foster Street, dated at South Windsor, Connecticut, this 8th day of May, 2023, attested to by Amanda Poma, Clerk of the Council.
Thank you, Ms. Poma. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council? This is a public hearing, and you can come forward and speak to the council on the $70,000. Is there anyone from the public?
Daria Plummer, 235 Orchard Hill Drive. Absolutely, they do a phenomenal job for this community, and they have moved several times now, and in all honesty, they deserve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Plummer. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? It is a public hearing. Please come forward. Anyone else from the public? Going a third time. Is there anyone else from the public? Not seeing any, we'll be closing the public hearing at this time. And I would like to have a straw poll, please, of that everyone that is in favor of this to raise your hand. And this is a non-scientific poll. And yes, young man, you can raise your hand. That's fine. I saw you back there. That's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13. I believe I have 13. Anyone else count? Anyone against? Not seeing any. Thank you so much for your input. And the public hearing is now closed. And now we will go back to the regular council meeting. Yes, sir.
If I could.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Deputy Mayor King.
And I hope the council will just allow me just a brief minute of executive privilege, only because we definitely have students in here. And so usually I would have saved this comment until the end. We have communications from the council, but because we have the students here and before they all break out, I just want to make sure that they're aware. So on May 30th, from 8:15 to 9:15 a.m., the state treasurer, from the state of Connecticut, will be visiting the school. Fortunately, from what I've been told, the principal, the assistant principal has been working on it. It says, feel free to mention the state treasurer's visit to South Windsor High School at the town council meeting tonight. However, I would kindly ask that you emphasize this visit is for the purpose of speaking to the students as opposed to a public forum. Basically, he said he shares that to maintaining student safety protocols. Extremely excited for this opportunity. Obviously, the state treasurer coming to the school to speak to our seniors is huge. I think he's only spoken to at least 2 or 3 that I'm aware of. So I just wanted to make sure that the students and any parent that was here, again, that's going to be on May 30th from 8:15 a.m. to 9:15 a.m.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor
Thank you,
King.
Council.
That's important to know. And students, please share that with any other students you may know that are seniors. Thank you. And now moving on to item number 10, reports from committees. Do we have any reports from committees? Councilor Evans.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up. Last meeting I had mentioned about kind of getting an update from the commissions that are now required to videotape their meetings. Questions were sent out to those commissions for the chair to respond. What was found is that 4 were successful the first month. In the second month, one of them has been able to meet, and they were successful in video recording as well, where they weren't the first month. So we have had success. I shouldn't say 4, I'm sorry. 1 was not able to meet because of not having a quorum. But the other 3 were able to upload or to record, and then the 4th was able to do it in May. So there is success in the video recording happening with these commissions. There are some logistical issues that we're running into, whether it's collecting the go bag, the weight of the go bag for some commissioners who it may just be a little heavier than what they can handle. So I know IT is working with them to kind of figure out some options, and is the Madden room available? Are there alternative options for the sprinkle room? I think what I'd like to do is just give the commissions another month to really see how it goes again for recording, and maybe we can talk about it again in June or July to just kind of see how now it has moved forward a little bit more and make sure that we don't need to make any changes with how we're rolling this out.
Thank you, Councilor Evans. And if I could, I just want to step back for a moment. Did you get the date that the patriotic essay winner contest children will be here for their citations? Yes.
June 5th.
Thank you. Okay. Any other reports from committees? Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to report that the Strategic Planning Committee that's working on our update of our strategic plan held a full-day retreat on May 6th. It was 2 Saturdays ago, probably the most beautiful Saturday that we've had all year, weather-wise. So
And you were
I want to
inside.
thank the committee members for sacrificing their Saturday to do this great work for the town. That said, a lot of work was done, and we are, the committee working with Dr. Ecology, who's helping us with the report, is preparing a draft of the strategic plan where the committee will be reviewing and hopefully voting on it within the next couple of weeks, within the next week, to bring it forward to the council for a presentation also on June 5th.
Lovely.
So we'll have that presentation on June 5th, and according to the resolution, the council has to have 2 dates of public hearing on that plan before it would be formally adopted by the council.
So, Councilor Kozakowski, how soon after the presentation to the council would you be expecting the public hearings to take place? Because we break in August, so we would have to have our public hearings maybe the second meeting in June and the first meeting of July?
Yeah, that was the plan, but we were very conscious of the council not meeting in August when we set the timetable.
I would just like to give Clerk of the Council Palma some idea on the calendar of when we could move forward with the 2 public hearings. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that way we can accommodate those. Is there anyone else? Not seeing any, we'll be moving on to item 11A, and that is Councilor Paterna, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a motion to approve 11A1 through 11A4 as a first reading on the consent agenda, and that includes Janice Favreau, Ligie Ellen Millard and Timothy Appleton as members of the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, and Braden Mignault as a member of the Park and Rec Commission.
Is there a second? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. Thank you. The motion carries. And item 11B, second reading. Councilor Paterna, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a motion to approve items 11B1 through 11B2 as a second reading on the consent agenda. And that includes, Mitchell Marks as a full member of the Park and Rec Commission, and Suresh Jayaprasad as a member of the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission.
Is there a second? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Moving on, Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This motion to approve items 11B3 through 11B5 as a second reading on the consent agenda. This is for Michael Ouellette as a member of the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, Stephen Cordero as a full member of the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, and Lauren Chung as a member of the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. Thank you. The motion carries. Excuse me, moving item 11C, there is none. Excuse me, item 12, unfinished business, there is none. Item 13, new business, and that is our town manager discussion item, fair rent ordinance draft. And you referenced attached Exhibit A, but we also have that in our packet, correct, Mr. Maniscalco?
Yeah, you should have the revised fair rent ordinance in your packet. It
Yep,
was
right here.
revised to include your recommendations from the last meeting with the town attorney. So I believe those have been added, so if everybody's good with that, my understanding is that we could probably set a public hearing. I'm not sure if we have that resolution on the agenda tonight, but if it's not, we could do it at our next meeting. I don't remember if it is.
Is there any questions for the town manager concerning this, please? Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, can you highlight any changes that were made from the previous draft made? Because if there
believe
were, they're
two-
probably small.
Yeah, they were really small ones. I want to say they were around, what was the
And if you can't pinpoint, if you could just describe what they were.
one of them had to do with some of the wording related to the statutory requirements for those 13 points. And I don't remember which requirement it was you guys were looking at. I think it might have been, it was either 9 or 13. And I believe he just adopted the language that the council had recommended. So that was the other one. That was one, and the other one was just a small grammatical thing.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so, okay, I do see number 9.
Yes.
Talking about tenants' household income as determined by the South Windsor Department of Human Services. Yeah, I think that came out of the discussion.
That was the big one, yeah.
Otherwise, the inspiration of all this language is either coming out of the South Windsor housing plan that was adopted last year and the statutory and the new law requiring the Fair Rent Commission.
Correct.
Okay.
And you do have an item on your agenda to set the public hearing tonight, so.
Okay, thank you. And last point, I noticed there's a couple of like punctuation issues that'll be cleaned up before the last version.
We can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions for the town manager concerning this? Councilor Evans?
Thank you. I'm just looking at the compensation and expenses piece. It looks like that was changed because it reads better to me now that it is clear that it is expenses that they incur as their role within the commission.
Correct, that was the
Okay.
other one I couldn't
Okay.
remember. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Not seeing any. So Mr. Maniscalco, I'm sorry, Councilor Paterno.
Oh, no.
So Mr. Maniscalco, the game plan from here is for our next council meeting, the first council meeting in June, or the second council meeting in June?
So the first council meeting in June, you would have a public hearing, and then after that, you could potentially vote to approve the ordinance at that meeting.
Okay. Ms. Poma, do you have that? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Moving on. We now have item B, which is a discussion item waiving the bidding process. Mr. Maniscalco, please.
Thank you. As you remember, probably about 6 months ago, we came to all of you with a resolution asking you to waive the bidding process due to the cost of inflation and the challenges that we were facing with purchasing items. The way it works in our town charter currently, the charter says that we have to bid out anything for $5,000 or above unless the council sees fit to waive that requirement. So we came to you, asked you to pass a resolution that actually increased that requirement to $25,000. In conversation with a lot of the department heads in the town, this has been extremely helpful in terms of getting work done and moving things forward in a more timely manner. And we wanted to ask all of you if we could potentially look at doing that again with the next budget that comes in play. So the way the resolution is set up right now, it expires on June 30th. So we would be looking to all of you to potentially pass a new resolution for the upcoming fiscal year. I know in some brief conversations we had with Councilor Gamble and Mayor Pendleton, there were some conversations about possibly looking into what sorts of things, got purchased that would have to be bid out and some of those sorts of things. So we can certainly put those reports together for all of you, but I thought it would be beneficial to have a discussion item on the agenda to see if there was any additional items that all of you may need in order to seriously consider possibly passing another resolution like this.
Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. So when you purchase these items that fall within that area over 5 and less than 25, you still have to have some sort of purchasing vehicle to do that, like a state contract or something like that, right? It's not like you're just, going on to Amazon and throwing a P card down and calling it a day, right?
So the purchases that we're talking about, first of all, have to be approved through the budgetary process. So they've gone through all of you and you've all approved them as appropriated expenditures in terms of budgeted expenditures. And then we also require 3 quotes prior to getting to the $25,000 threshold or off of a state contract.
Gotcha. So, all right, thank you. I mean, still a lot of due diligence, even with this process. It's just,
Correct.
You just are not having to come before the council.
Putting a formal bid together
Right.
requires a lot of work for something that it's
Right.
$6,000.
Yep,
You know.
I hear you.
So.
In light of the mayor's stepping out for a moment, thank you, Councilor Gamble. Councilor Lydecker.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Because these are items that are essentially identified in the budget, what items in the budget that we're getting ready to pass is this going to be applicable to?
Anything up to $25,000, potential one-time purchases within there. I mean, I'd have to go line by line and pick stuff out for you, but we could certainly try to get you a list.
Yeah, I think before I want to just blanket say yes, I would again like to see, because I think you did that for us for the last 6 months.
Yep.
So we could see the items, the amounts, et cetera. I'd really like something concrete before, in front of all 9 of us before we just say yes. So if you could pick things out of the budget for us, that would be appreciated.
Sure can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lydecker. Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Evans.
Thank you. I'm just curious if you could speak to some of the projects or expenses that this has applied to since we have passed this.
Okay.
Do you know any off the top of your head? Or
Not off the top of my head. I'm going to have to get reports
For
for
next
you
time.
guys. Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. I had a question.
Absolutely. Deputy Mayor King, please.
Yeah, right. I was trying to figure out what I was doing. I was like, how do I do that? Do I pass it?
I got you just in
Yeah,
time.
Good. The only question I had is in regards to the up to 25,000, is there a way to assure, and I appreciate the fellow councilors' questions, whether, I just want to ensure that they're not the same people that we go to all the time. Is there any way to ensure that, whether it be a diverse
could get you
business,
a list of
business in
vendors.
town? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we do make an effort to purchase whatever services or equipment from local vendors whenever possible. So we can certainly get you a list of vendors.
That'd be appreciated. Thank you so much.
Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That jarred my memory. No, I know, it will be quick, I know. So at the state level, there are thresholds that have to be met for small business owners. Do we have thresholds that we try to meet? Like, say, we give 25% of the business of the town to, local or small businesses or anything like that?
We do have a local purchasing ordinance that gives local businesses an advantage when bidding on certain projects.
But if they're within a certain percentage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but we don't have, for lack of a better way to say it, like if we have a project, there's not a requirement within that project to have X number of local businesses working on that project. There's not a requirement like that.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Gamble. Any other questions? Not seeing any. We'll be moving on then. So, Mr. Maniscalco, you'll be getting back to us on those questions on the bidding process?
Yes, I have my homework.
All right, thank you. And now we'll be moving on to item 13C. Councilor Lydecker, please. Yeah,
Dollars?
could you say that again in your microphone and ask Ms. Perry, please?
Sorry, I was looking at the clerk of the council. So just to confirm, the final budget number, $88,221,342. Okay. Resolution adopting the Board of Education budget for fiscal year 2023-2024. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby adopts a Board of Education budget with expenditures totaling $88,221,342 for the fiscal year commencing on July 1st, 2023, and terminating on June 30th, 2024, a copy of which is posted in the town clerk's office.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? comments, corrections, deletions, discussion, questions? Not seeing any. I'd like to say a few words. Oh, Counselor Evans.
I just wanted to thank the Board of Ed for their budget and the work that they have done. Much like us who sit here on the town council and really look at the government side of the budget, I really appreciate the work of the elected Board of Ed members doing the same work and really putting a fine-tooth look at what is in the budget and what is appropriate for our school district. And I really put a lot of trust and faith in them to know what is the appropriate amount that is needed for the students of South Windsor. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Evans. Is there anyone else? Not seeing any. Mr. Maniscalco, could you cut that microphone off, please, on the podium when you get a chance? I'd just like to say a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Carter for working so diligently on this budget and presenting it to the Board of Ed. And please pass on my thank yous to her. For 2 years, Dr. Carter has spoken to us about the rapid growth that we've experienced within our community and in our schools and all the new children that are coming into town. For 2 years, we have talked about the increase in the budget and the increase in the size of the students that are coming. Folks, this isn't over. The students are still coming. We have a fabulous community. We have a fabulous school system. And I would just like to say thank you, but this is probably, hopefully, will be the largest that you'll ever ask for, and over the next few years, it may go down, and I'm hoping that's what we can achieve. This is no shock to anyone. We've known this is going to happen. I'd like to say thank you to the Board of Ed members for the diligent work that you've done by going line by line and asking the questions that you did at the Board of Education meeting. Thank you so much for all your hard work on this. I want our community to know that we have an influx of students within our community. Dr. Carter has presented that on many, many slides. She has shown us the growth of the students that we have in our town. And as I've said to her, what makes us so special? What makes us so special? And what makes us special is that we have an excellent school system, we have excellent schools, but we also have excellent town services, and we have an excellent community. And as displayed this evening from Ms. Plummer in their eloquent speech that she gave, the best one I've ever heard, because she included the government budget in it, not just the Board of Ed. I appreciate that. And yes, we have worked very diligently on our own budget, where we'll get to in a second. But please understand that I know Dr. Carter has done everything absolutely possible that she possibly could do to lower this budget and get it down to a manageable area, not just for the children, but for the staff, all the employees of the Board of Education, and everything that it entails and involves. And again, I thank you. And we shall move on to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Item 13D, Deputy Mayor King, please.
So I just need to confirm that this is the final number, $53,566,936.
Go slow, please. Let Ms. Patty Perry correct that. Turn on your microphone, please.
Are you adopting the town manager proposed number, or?
Well, this is the
general government budget. Item, the resolution adopting the general government budget. We're going to have a discussion item, but the number that we have so far.
So far, we have 57,566,936.
Hit the,
57.
Continue again, please, louder.
yeah, thank you.
57,566,936.
Okay, so that town number also includes the capital number.
Correct, capital and debt.
That's the number you need to read, and then we're going to go over the budget.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Thank you, Councilor Kozakowski. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby adopts a general government budget with expenditures totaling $57,566,936 for the fiscal year commencing on July 1st, 2023 terminating on June 30th, 2024, a copy of which budget is on file in the office of the town clerk.
Is there a second?
Second.
And is there discussion?
Thank you, sir. Let me write that down.
Yes, we have discussion. And Counselor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to confirm that that number that Deputy Mayor just read is the town manager's proposed budget, which includes capital and with none of the cuts that were discussed.
Yeah, that is my proposed budget, that it includes no cuts or reductions that were discussed at the last meeting. Those all would need to be made by you if the council desired tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and we're doing that. And now we're in discussion. If you could all pull up your spreadsheet again, please, so we can have a discussion about the reductions of the proposed budget, please. And we're gonna go like we did at the last meeting, and Counselor Lidecker was not here, and I believe Counselor Lopez was not here at the last meeting. Right, so you have a spreadsheet in front of you, and we're gonna go down the list again like we did the last time. And we're gonna have conversation, or hopefully receive new numbers from the town manager on any suggested cuts that we may have here. So we will start with, refresh my memory, we went by capital first. Capital and the proposed reduction amount. Mr. Maniscalco, if you could take over on the spreadsheet.
Yeah,
And then
so,
I'll ask for everyone's.
This is related to the Pleasant Valley Bridge challenge that we've got going forward. So overall, last year we committed $755,000 to that project. The request currently is 1.445, so 1,445,000. And then the state has actually committed another 1.9 million. We're in conversations with the state to see if we can increase their contribution, seeing as the cost of the project has increased so much. But I would recommend at this point, if the council saw fit, that we would probably go with a $700,000 reduction, not the $1 million reduction to capital. So that it would give us a little extra breathing room in there to hopefully be able to accomplish everything that we need this year, or in the coming year, I mean.
So you're offering up $700,000 now as a reduction? Is that what you're saying?
That would be my recommendation.
In capital?
Correct.
And the grand total of capital budget is 4 million, correct? And you just want to reduce it by 7?
Correct, that would be my recommendation, so it would
Okay.
be 3.3 million.
So they would end up with 3.3. Okay? Is there conversation on that, please? And we're gonna, Counselor, how about if we go down the line like we did before, and you can ask your questions at that time, if that's okay? And we're gonna start with, let's start just on the list as we go. Counselor Gamble, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I guess I'm a little confused about how this process is going to work tonight. I think this format worked well for a discussion item, but for getting to a place where we can vote, are we looking to get a consensus, or are we going to make amendments for each line? I don't know if this is the...
Let me help you out, Counselor Gamble, okay?
What?
I'll help you out. There is a line over there that says consensus, okay? On the end, I'm
Right,
gonna...
no, I see it, yes, but I see
Okay.
that it says consensus, yes.
And tonight, we're getting new numbers on many of these items that are before us.
Yep.
So with all the numbers and the moving parts and all the new information, we're updating all of this so we can come to a consensus this evening to hopefully approve our town government budget.
Okay, so you want me to just say a number that I'm comfortable with for cutting the capital or not cutting the capital, right?
Well, Mr. Maniscalco has given his recommendation on
As- well,
capital.
Yes.
And if you have other insight, please.
No, I don't have other insight. My insight is I'm trying to, work with recommendation, but also be cognizant of the fact that we are having a difficult time financially with the big ask. So I'm not comfortable with just a $700,000 cut. So I appreciate the recommendation, but I'm higher than that.
Please offer your number.
$1 million.
Do you have a number?
$1 million.
$1 million?
Yes.
I'm sorry, thank you, I didn't hear
million.
you. $1 million, oh, okay, thank you. That's good. Okay. And then now we have Counselor Kozakowski, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would reluctantly support the $700,000 reduction. I advocated for that reduction at the last meeting, unaware of the overages for the bridge project. But I can understand and appreciate the town manager's representation that he'll, what's the word to use, value engineer the bridge project, seek additional funding from the state, and find, as always, find creative ways to pay for the things that need to be paid for. So I can still support the $700,000 reduction.
Thank you, Kozakowski. Counselor Kozakowski, okay. And Deputy Mayor King, I'm sorry, Counselor Kubowski.
That's fine. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm also comfortable with the $700,000 cut. I think what that does is that allows us to get a number of the projects done, especially after conversations with some town employees. I think that also, the only reason I would not consider going down to $1 million is I do have concerns about the ARPA money being used for the chillers. In the event that something should pop where we can't do that, and those are items that I know we absolutely have to have. So I would prefer to keep the cut at the $700,000.
Thank you. Counselor Evans, please.
Could you just go through what is included in that 3.3 million? What projects, again, is that covering?
I don't know if I have, let me see if I can dig it out. If I have it handy or not. I would also suggest that, as we talked at our last meeting, whatever number the council comes up with for capital still needs to go back to the committee, and the committee will basically have to go through and make a decision related to that. So whatever's in your budget book or whatever's been decided on or recommended here, I believe could potentially change.
So then how did you come up with 3.3 as the number that you're comfortable with?
Basically it was, well, 3.3 is basically I reduced it to 4 because they had originally recommended 5.6, I believe it was. So I reduced it to 4 because when you look at the overall budget and the impact on taxpayers, I felt it was just going to be something that was incredibly untenable. I understand that there's a desire to reduce it further. I also understand at your last meeting, the range of that reduction was anywhere from 700,000 to 1.5, I think it was. In conversations I've had with staff based upon the cost of that bridge and some of the projects that are floating out there that really do have needed requirements at this point. It was my understanding from those conversations with staff that the 700,000 would allow us to probably get most of that done. So
what does that remove?
I don't know yet because it has to go back to the capital committee and they have to discuss and make a decision.
Mr. Maniscalco, if I can answer her question?
Sure.
I have the email from Mr. Roberts of the the projects that Capital Projects has, and it's the revaluation. We pay $75,000 for 5 years. It's the first of 5 years, so we're prepared 5 years from now. It's a plan of conservation and development of $50,000. The bridge of 1.445. It's the second year of the funding, and hopefully we will be able to get more money from the state on that. We have the ADA transition plan upgrades. It's the first of 5 years of funding of $1.25 million. We have the communication upgrades to the town emergency communications of $400,000. We have the VMP pool covers at $350,000. This is going to equal more than the $400,000. So bear with me. We have the chiller tower at $500,000, and that's at the high school. We have the utilities at the fairgrounds of $1 million, which is the John Mitchell Fairgrounds of the pavilion that's there. We also have the HVAC chiller replacement at the library at $200,000. Then we also have the GIS at $100,000. Now, we are not setting the projects, capital does that, but we have that would be their 5.37 ask that came into us. And then Mr. Maniscalco has recommended reducing it to $4 million, right? And then now you're making another recommendation from that $4 million to take away another $700,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, based upon your desire to reduce the capital budget, and I think we can probably make it work with the $700,000 reduction.
And coming up with a better way, and maybe using the ARPA funds for the chiller because it has to do with the breathing and the air quality at both facilities. So hopefully that will take place. So by reducing it down to the 3.3 million, the capital will have to look at that. We know for a fact that we pay for the reval, we pay for the plan of conservation and development, and we have to pay for the bridge. Now, if you do the math, and then we have the ADA upgrades, Phil, can you work with me on that?
What was that?
My partner in the budget working group that we spent 6 weeks working on this together. We have the $75,000 for the reval.
What was the amount for the fairground? That's the only one I...
1.25.
The 50,000, the 1.445, and then the 1.250 for the upgrades. And those are pretty much the definites that have to take place.
You're just asking him to add the major ones that we have to do, not all. Right?
Correct.
Yeah, I came to 2.82.
Yeah.
2.82. So then if we go to 3.3, we still have some left over for the any other projects that may come up and or for the portables. And Mr. Maniscalco, do you have an option for those portables if we need to purchase portables? Where would that come from? Capital non-reoccurring?
You may finance them, you may, I don't know.
Okay, because we know 2 of those equal 900, almost $1 million. So, and I'm not sure, in Board of Ed folks, Craig is here, I'm not sure where we are headed with the need for portables at the elementary school in the coming year. As Dr. Carter has expressed, you know, some days it's calling every day to find out if we need another classroom. So we need to be prepared on the portable piece of things. So that's the situation that capital is in, folks. If anyone has any questions, I just have some information here.
So to answer where I'm comfortable with, I would like to go with, to see 1 million cut from capital.
You want to reduce it 1 million from capital? Okay, thank you. And we have Councilor Lopez who's not here. Councilor Leidecker, please.
If I can just ask a question, you just mentioned portables, Madam Mayor. I know recently we already authorized the PRS portables. What additional portables are being talked about right now?
No, just in the fact that Dr. Carter mentioned that she calls almost every day. If there's 2 more children that are needed or that have come into, like, let's say 2nd grade, they would need another classroom. So
so we're talking about maybe 3.3 million. Our must-haves are 2.8. So we're talking about $500,000 just in case for portables. We want to kind of keep that $500,000 there in case. I'm a little confused.
Not knowing where we're going with the influx of students that may be coming in, we may need portables in the future, as Dr. Carter has presented to us. I'm not sure where that money would come from.
You're not including the additional funds for the bridge, for the overage in the bridge.
Right, we didn't add that in, so we need the
Okay.
funds for the bridge.
Yeah, because I'm not comfortable just keeping $500,000 for what if.
It's not, yeah, it's the overage for the bridge, so.
For the bridge,
Okay,
I'm
so it's
sorry.
not portables, so,
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
so right now, for the revaluation, the plan of conservation and development, the PV bridge, and the ADA compliance, we're at 2.8? Is that the number that was?
No, actually, we were at 2.8 plus another 800,000, so, because that was the cost of the bridge prior to the 800,000.
You got that added in there, Phil? The bridge number, the new
You're
number
actually
for the bridge?
3.6, so you're $600,000 short, which is why we're saying that we're going to be working on trying to find additional ways to get things done.
Okay, so those 4 items, the reevaluation, plan of conservation development, the Pleasant Valley Bridge, and the ADA compliance, and the PV bridge with the overage puts us over the 3.3 million. So that's even more than what you're recommending right now. And in the scheme of things, what is this cut doing to the mill rate? Is this saving residents $10? Is this saving residents $5? Is this saving residents $100?
What, 700 or more?
Yeah, 700.
At 700,000 cutting capital, you're still gonna, a person with an assessed valued home that was 210, which is now 273 because of the mill rate, the increase would be $929.
I don't think
Counselor
we're answering,
Gamble.
I'm sorry.
For the year.
Counselor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Not yet, no, wait, Counselor
No,
Lidecker.
let
still-
him,
Right,
let him
I-
answer his
I-
question, because I'm not sure
I-
that.
I'm not sure you're answering the right question. I think we wanted the delta. Like, if we're gonna be paying, you know, $8,800 in taxes, what would a $700,000 cut give us? Would it be down to like $8,700? I don't, $900 seems like a big savings, I think, for
Yeah, I
that
think
rate.
like in the scheme of things, my taxes are going up about $1,500. I have a fairly average house in town. So are my taxes now going up $1,498, $1,450?
With a 700,000 cut, it's $7, a decrease of $7.
A month?
A year.
So,
Counselor Lidecker has the floor.
yep,
I-
you're right.
No, I'm happy to concede the floor to Counselor Gamble right now. I'm struggling with, you know, are we making a dent? We're here to try and cut our taxes. We're here to try and, you know, really help the citizens. But on the other hand, we have projects that need to get done. We have a PV bridge that needs to get done. We have chillers that need to get done. I'm struggling with the fact that we're only going to be saving, and I don't mean that facetiously, I mean that we're only saving $7, but it's not, I don't know how much of a dent that's making, but I mean, at this point in time, I would be comfortable with this $700,000 cut.
Thank you, Counselor Lidecker. I'd like to go through the rest of the folks first before we go back, please. Counselor Paterno, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I was more comfortable with the $1 million cut for capital, but when I hear because of costs increasing, another $800,000, I think we've got to stay at the $700,000 figure per cut.
Thank you, Counselor Paterno. Deputy Mayor King, please.
I said 700,000 last time. I'm not moving from that number. I'll just say for the record, I understand the angst, but anybody in business knows sometimes you're not going to necessarily save where you think you're going to be able to save. If you want to cut off your nose to spite your face, you want to laugh about it, you want to chuckle about it, you can do it. I have a business background, a business degree. These are the hard decisions. You're not going to lower taxes every year, especially not when the rest of the world is going through inflation. You're just not. That's not reality. And unfortunately, we were elected to deal with reality. And sometimes it's going to hurt, especially if you kick the can down the road. We've been long before I got here, we've been very good. And sometimes it's not going to work out that way. So yes, I agree with some of the angst that, you know, 700,000 is not really going to, $7, but it's still $7. I'm also a couponer. Any money that I can save, I'm going to save it, period. So if we can save that little bit, you know, let's try and save that little bit, but this is what we were elected to do. So we just have to figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Gamble, would you like to go right ahead?
We're going around again?
No, you just, go ahead. Is
No,
your
I was
little-
just trying to reconcile the math in my head, and, yeah, for $7, I want to cut, well, I don't want to say cut, I want to, keep taxes as low as possible while still maintaining proper services for the town, but hearing, I thought, $7 for putting us in a very bad position, it's, I mean, and frankly, all of these, right? We could just, I know I'm going out of turn here, but, just about, so it really just comes down to, should we be, doing things or not doing things? Not, it's just frustrating. So, I'm fine with 700,000. It's just.
Do you change your position from the 1 million to the
I
700?
changed my position to 700,000. It's fine.
Thank you, Counselor Gamble. And Counselor Kozakowski, you had your light on earlier. Is there anything you'd like to change or add? No, you're fine. And Counselor Evans, you're good? Counselor Evans.
I will change my answer to 700,000, so we have a full consensus.
Awesome, thank you.
You haven't answered.
And I haven't spoke yet, but I will like to say something. I have to, I really want to bite my tongue on this, and maybe I should. It's 700,000 for me also. I would really want to bite my tongue on this, but it's difficult for me. Capital always gets hit. We know this, and we know that capital deserves $9 million funded to get all our projects done. I think what's more astonishing to me is that we're sitting here this evening, and Councilor Kabowski and myself on the Budget Working Group went through every line item in the budget for 6 weeks, and we worked together on that on the Budget Working Group, coming up with suggestions and ideas for the budget on reductions that we can make. And the expressions that you guys are making this evening that I'm seeing are the same ones we had when we went through the budget, and pulling my hair out literally, and just, where do we go? Very difficult, very tight, already presented to us cut, finding spots that we can reduce our budget as best as we possibly can. And presenting these to the council members is the one and only items that we could locate. And we've asked for other suggestions, ideas, comments. Folks, this is such a tough year, and we're right there with you. We feel you. So let us move on now to item. We're good with that, so we have a consensus on that. Moving on to the Wapping Cemetery of the $16,000, and we'll start over here with Councilor Gamble.
Yeah, I'm good with the cut of 16,000 for a Wapping Cemetery.
Thank you. Councilor Kozakowski.
Yes, I'll support the cut of $16,000 since it's a new ask.
Thank you. Councilor Kabowski.
I'm fine with that cut.
I'm sorry?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Councilor Evans.
I am good with the reduction of the Wapping Cemetery cut.
Thank you. Councilor Lydecker.
So I'm just going to take a quick minute. I'm fine with the cut of the 16,000. I am just going to throw it out there, though, to my fellow council members, because we are talking hard numbers that our citizens may not have heard, $7, $10, $12. I think as much as we want to pass the budget tonight, maybe it is better to wait until next week, again, because our citizens have not been hearing $7, $10, $12, and that's important to them, and that's an impact that's going to be made to them. So I'm happy going through the process. I think that absolutely needs to be done. I think at the end, when we have a total, if we can have some actual numbers from Ms. Perry, that would be appreciated. But I'm just going to throw it out there while I have the floor. Maybe we wait a week and let people digest.
Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm fine with the $16,000 cut.
Deputy Mayor King.
Good.
Mayor Pendleton, yes. Okay, moving on to the leaf collection. Mr. Maniscalco.
Well, I don't have any recommendation on this one. I mean, you guys debated it at length at your last
Okay,
one.
let
I
us
don't know
move on,
whatever you wanna
please.
do.
We have Councilor Gamble.
I'm not going to touch the leaf collection.
No, got it?
No,
Okay,
I'm good
Councilor
with it.
Kozakowski.
For the record, I'm good with the leaf collection.
Not in favor of any cut.
Thank you. Counselor Kabasky.
Madam Mayor, I'm fine with leaving this in. The one thing I did want to say that I didn't say last time is this was one of the items that I chose as a cut. It was not one of those that you choose to say, we want to get people fired up and come out and rally behind the budget we're proposing. It was a cut that I thought we needed to make. We received numerous emails. We had a number of folks come up and speak to us. And I just want to say that that shows if you feel strongly about something, please let us know, come out, speak to us. It says a lot we want to hear what you have to say. So as a result, I'm fine with leaving this in.
Thank you, Counselor Kabasky. Counselor Evans.
I am not in favor of this cut.
Thank you. Counselor Lidecker.
No, I'm not in favor of the cut.
Counselor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is one of those issues, and I agree with Councilor Kubowski, where it's a lot of money that could be saved. But in looking at this issue, I think the problem is we don't have any infrastructure in this town to do it any other way. So I'm not in favor of making this cut.
Thank you, Counselor Paterno. Deputy Mayor King.
Not in favor of the cut.
Thank you. Myself, no. We have a consensus on that. Thank you. Probate court, $10,000, please. And we are going to Counselor Gamble, please.
I'm not in favor of this cut. I read an email, I believe, from the probate administrator for the court, and the monies are needed to continue the operations of the court. It's by statute. By cutting this, they're probably just going to come back to us in 3 months and ask for the money anyway. So it's $10,000 that they need it. They said they need it. I'm fine with it.
May I, Mr. Maniscalco, could you please explain what's transpired?
Yeah, I did have a conversation with the probate court judge today, as well as her administrator. I think they had a slight confusion thinking that in our budget was actually their budget, and we were trying to approve their budget or not. So we had to have a conversation about how this is just our appropriation to their budget. So based upon previous year's expenditures, they haven't actually been spending all of it. Their budget total and the requirements associated with their budget total are based on a number of different factors, including population and other things. So as those numbers come in, we'll get a bill for them. If we do end up in a scenario where we've under budgeted this appropriation, we should be able to cover it at the end of the year. We'll still be able to pay them, and we'll be able to cover that line item at the end of the year when we do our end of year transfers and that sort of stuff. So just want to throw that out there. And I did have that conversation with them, and they seemed to leave feeling better.
It's better.
That would have been good to know 5 minutes ago.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
I didn't have that information. I only, so.
That's why I'm saying we have new information,
So.
new numbers, yeah.
Okay.
That's okay, Counselor Gamble.
Madam Mayor, before he continues, could I ask Mr. Maniscalco?
Absolutely.
So I think, and I had the same reaction when I read that letter, Councilor Gamble, but this doesn't change the legal responsibility we have in terms of our share of supporting the probate court, does it?
No, you still have a responsibility to, and as I explained to them, based upon what they come up with for their budget and their requirements, they're going to submit a bill to the town, and then they're going to take off some of the in-kind services that we provide to them by housing them and that sort of stuff. So based upon that, we'll end up with whatever that bill is. We will have an obligation to meet that by statute. So we'll pay that, and if our line item is underfunded, then we'll deal with that underfunding on our side. That's not their problem to deal with.
But yes, the underfunding becomes our problem if we cut this $10,000. Otherwise you have to take it from somewhere else to cover this underfunded account, right?
Yes. So if it's underfunded, what we do typically every year is we come in with a number of line items that get either overspent or underspent, and we do a bunch of transfers, and we balance all those out. So that would probably take care of that process.
But what I read in the letter was like the cost of everything is going up. It's not like they're just want a new program. It's like the leases for the printers are going up. The leases for their Wi-Fi is going up. So I'm sticking with my original answer. I want to leave this in.
You're sticking with your original answer of no?
Of no cut. I do not
No
want to cut
cut.
this
Okay.
10,000.
Counselor Kozakowski.
I'll be in favor of the cut. I appreciate Councilor DeGamble's hesitation on it, but if it's been over budgeted for years in the past, budgets tend to be sticky with these line items, so here's a chance to make a cut, and if it's over, then we'll make an adjustment, and then make an adjustment in next year's budget if need be.
Thank you. Counselor Kubasky.
Yeah, I'm fine with this cut.
Thank you. Counselor Evans.
Just looking at the budget update that you sent us earlier today, it says that they are 84% of the way through their budget. Based on my quick calculations, we are 87.5% of the way through the fiscal calendar. So it seems like they're pretty on track with their budget this year. So I think that would just make me concerned with reducing.
I don't know if we have all our transfers in yet. I don't know if all the transfers are into Patty yet.
So the way it works is we pay all of the probate court expenses since they're housed with us, and then we get reimbursed from Windsor and East Windsor. So that 84% for that line item probably is not the most accurate reflection of how that'll end up for the year.
Looking probate. Probate court had a budget of 20,420, which is different. Yeah. So based on that, the number that they presented would be the same. Because if that, so the number here, 20,420, was their budget for last year. They have spent 17,159. So the budget in our book would be the same with the reimbursements from other towns. Their overall budget is 25,000 or 20,000.
I think if I remember correctly from the conversation I had with them earlier today, they mentioned their overall budget's like 25,000.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Their overall budget is 25,000 from the
They're
conversation
requesting
I
this
had.
year.
Yeah,
Okay, and last year it was 20,000.
it was under, I think it came in at 20,000, something like that. So it was under, they came in under budget.
20,420, looking at your report. So what you're saying is that this spending of 84% is not accurate because reimbursements will be coming from other towns.
Yes, correct.
We get paid from other towns.
So then that would be the same situation with the 25,000.
You mean in terms of the billing and the operations of it? Is that, yeah, so you would budget 25,000, or at least in the scenario you're pointing to, they would be budgeted for 25,000. We would do their expenditures for the year, so as expenditures go out, since we're the host community, those expenditures would go out. It would show to you that they've spent, I don't know, 75, 80% of their budget over that, whatever that time period is in the year. And then at some point in the year, we will get reimbursements from East Windsor and Windsor for their portions of the probate court.
How often are we reimbursed by other towns for these expenses?
It's biannually. Biannually, yeah, so twice a year.
So when is the next refund from the other towns?
Do you have that? We'll have to find out for you tomorrow, I guess. I don't know when.
Guess I'm just a little unclear with like the ask of the budget, the spending, how they ended up last year, and where their numbers are. I don't know. I think I need a better understanding, so I'm I would support reducing them to their budget from last year, which would be reducing 4,660.
Reducing them by 4,000 for, I don't understand.
The amount that was asked for probate is an increase of 4,660 this year over last year. I just need a better,
Ask Ms. Perry any specific budget questions you may have. She has both last year and this year here. We budget less, Mr. Maniscalco, correct, for probate because we house them, and the other towns pay more into their budget than what we do, correct?
Correct, so we get a credit for in-kind services since we provide them a location, we provide some IT services, things of that nature.
so this budget is intended to have a surplus based on reimbursements? So it's higher than what is needed to get through the year, knowing we're going to be reimbursed from other towns?
Well, I think what we've identified is that it has been in previous years, and that's why the proposed cut was put out there.
And then
I'm
with
not-
an understanding
I'm
that.
not comfortable reducing it, I guess, at this time. I don't really have a clear answer to.
But we also have a way to get to the $10,000 or have contingency or whatever we have that we can get to the 10,000 if need be. Yes. Say that.
Correct. Correct.
Yes.
I'd like to abstain at this point.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to abstain at this point from giving a suggestion.
Okay. And let's see, moving on, we have, let's see, Counselor Lloyd-Decker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So if a cut of $700,000 is a savings of about 7, I'm going to assume a $10,000 cut is a savings about 25 cents, 50 cents. And now I am trying to be sarcastic. The probate court deals with some of our most vulnerable residents. These are people who are conserved. These are people who are sometimes incapacitated and cannot make their own financial decisions. They cannot make their own personal decisions. They have conservators appointed to them. These are children who are potentially being petitioned to have their parents removed from them and given guardianship over to other people. Probate court handles our most vulnerable residents who don't necessarily have a say. These are estates, these are trusts, these are will contests. Additionally, up at the state level, they are talking, because a lot of the attorneys who do some of this work in probate court are appointed through the public defender's office. They get paid peanuts. The Appropriations Committee is considering increasing that dollar item, the pay to the attorneys who are handling this work, because they are few and far between. I don't handle probate work, so there is no conflict here. I'm just explaining my knowledge base at the probate level. Given the fact that this is $10,000, given the fact it's our most vulnerable residents, at this point in time, I'm not comfortable with the cut being asked of for the $10,000.
Thank you. Counselor Paterno?
Yes, I think I would support this cut.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor King?
$5,000. Cut.
Mayor Pendleton, yes. Okay. So we'll have to readdress that. Let's see, and then we have HR, the 19,000, and that's a savings that we have there, so that's a consensus. We don't need to go through. And then we move on to the library. And we have, moving on to Counselor Gamble, please.
I'm in favor of no cut to the library.
None?
None, based on all the data that they've provided, all the people that they're trying to hire, all the programs and the enrichment for the children that they're trying to do. You know, I think they're well within their purview to make decisions when there is money. They try very hard to keep the budget like 0% every year, and they do that by, you know, moving money around, right? It's not like, for example, do we give money to the fire department every year similarly? Do they ever return money?
I don't believe the fire department's required to return money because they're a separate 501c3.
And we just passed the Board of Ed budget. We were all very in favor of the Board of Ed budget. Couldn't be happier that they are fully funded. I believe they have 30-plus vacancies that they're taking into the end of this fiscal year. They will take that money probably that doesn't get applied to those vacancies and put it to good use in other areas where it needs it. I see this as a very similar topic, a similar situation, that they're taking money that they have to put into enrichment programs for our children. We need to keep supporting the library, and I think a cut is not warranted here, so I'm a zero.
Thank you. I'd like to go out of line a little bit and go to Councilor Evans, who's suggested a recommendation for the library. If we could go there, please.
Thank you. So just based on last meeting, I know Councilor Kozakowski and Councilor Gamble had at one point, and you know, it's your purview to change, had said they were comfortable with a $50,000 reduction. I think in reflection of my previous recommendation of a $200,000 reduction with $100,000 in contingency, I feel that based on the comfortable level of other counselors, my recommendation upon reflection would be to reduce the library budget by $150,000 with $100,000 set aside in contingency for the library to access once they have shown that these positions are being filled and that their budget is being appropriately managed and that they need these funds. I think that allows the library still to have the potential to thrive without putting them in danger of having to shut down programs and not being able to fill positions because of funding. That would be my recommendation. Reduce by $150,000, put $100,000 in contingency.
And Mr. Maniscalco, could you speak a little bit about that, where the money would go or what would happen with that?
Well, I mean, I think if the council wanted to reduce the library budget by $150,000, they could go ahead and do that, and then you would add $100,000 to contingency, is my understanding. So essentially, it would be an overall reduction of about $50,000 to the total budget.
Great. So that's what we're discussing right now, a $50,000 reduction in the Board of Education, in the library budget. $50,000. What? Yeah, no, $50,000 reduction, but putting $100,000 in contingency for the hiring of the employees, which we have to finish out this year, and then the money's still there, but then we have to go into next year with the hiring of the employees. So that's what we're pretty much presenting at this point in time with new numbers. So Councilor Gamble, with that information, do you have any change of heart, or do you have any comments?
No change of heart. I don't feel that's acceptable. I think that's not fair to the library. They're in the midst of hiring people. Even a small cut of $50,000 to $100,000 is going to impact probably some temporary workers and just throw it into chaos. So I'm still at a zero, unless I can be maybe a smaller cut like I proposed last time, but I'm nowhere near $150,000. I just think that's like, you know.
But that's not the cut. The cut's only $50,000.
No, the cut's $150,000. You said $150,000 with $100,000 in contingency.
Which would be accessible to the library once those changes have been made. So it is not reduced from their budget. It is there for them to access once these changes have been demonstrated. So the board could then come to us and ask for that 100,000.
We don't, I don't know why I don't know why we're getting into the business of running the library line item when they've been doing it this way for a long time, and it just doesn't make sense to me that we want to get into that details of running a library. I mean, we're here to make policy and make, if we want to make a budget cut, make a budget cut, but I don't know if we want to have this contingency where they come back to us and ask for that. So that's what I'm having a problem with. It's partly the money and partly that whole aspect of this, of how this is playing out, I don't like.
Councilor Evans?
I think I've said my piece on it. I think other counselors should speak to how they feel.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Gamble. Councilor Kozakowski.
I guess first I'll address the proposal brought forth by Councilor Evans. I'm not in support of it. I don't like the idea of, number one, the cut of 150, but what I don't like even more is putting $100,000 in contingency. I'm not really sure exactly why we would want to do that. It sounds like it's kind of like a backdoor way to have some authority over how the library manages the funds allocated to them. And I don't know if that's within our authority as a council to do that. Even if it is, I don't know if that's necessarily what we want to do. So I'm not in support of that proposal. I am not, before the floor was taken, I was going to say that I'm not in support of any cuts to the library budget. I have been moved by a lot of the public input that we've received over the past couple weeks on this. I hear more about what the library can do and what they're not doing that they can do, and not so much of their library's doing too much and we need to cut their services. And that's what a cut in the budget would do. So I'm in support of a zero cut, or keeping the library budget as it is.
Thank you. Councilor Kubaski, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In regards to the proposal that's on the table, the issue I have with using the contingency is that I believe you said once they come to us and prove that they're handling things in a better manner. That's not a measurable goal. It's very subjective. We've got 9 people up here who will all look at that differently. But that being said, I'm going to stick with my vote from last time, and I'm not in favor of cutting the library budget.
At all?
At all.
Councilor Evans? Okay. So it's a $50,000 cut is what you're offering, right?
150.
It's not 150 because 100 goes into the contingency account. We're not reducing it. It's there for them to use. It's a $50,000 reduction. Is that what you're stating? I'm asking for clarification.
However you want to word it, yes.
But the $100,000 is there. It's budgeted for. It's there. It's not reduced. You're offering a reduction of $50,000. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Understand? Makes sense? Should I say it again?
No, I heard it. That just wasn't what was said.
Well, that's why I'm asking for clarification. We're giving them $100,000 still within their budget, but it's going to be held in contingency is what you're stating, correct? You only want to offer a reduction of $50,000 to the library board. Is that what you're recommending or you're offering? Am I clear on that?
Yes.
Do you understand that? Does that make sense?
I understand. I have a question for our financial experts sitting before us. How would a contingency account work?
So we already have a contingency budget, so I would just put I would add 100,000 there and take 50,000 or 150 off the library and put 100 in. So really you're netting $50,000.
So that contingency would be in the library's budget?
It would be in a contingency account.
Under what umbrella?
It's under the non-classified,
Non-classified on the town budget.
correct?
So essentially, it is a $150,000 cut out of the library budget, but funding a new expenditure of $100,000 into a contingency account, which cannot be spent unless the library asks us for permission to do so. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't just be limited to the library, though, you have to remember. Because if we had something else come forward and you guys decided you wanted to spend it on some other emergency or something else, in theory, it could be spent on anything.
So it'd be $100,000, a bucket of $100,000 where anybody can ask to grab from it.
It would be.
Any department or,
With your approval.
with our approval, they can ask.
Correct.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like it's just a $50,000 reduction. It's $150,000 to the budget, to the library's budget, but increasing the town's budget by $100,000. That's what I hear. Is that what?
Well,
is being
now
proposed?
I'm getting what you're saying. I didn't hear that before. Now I'm hearing that. So that's why I need clarification. We all need clarification on this. And by stating that $100,000 goes into contingency, we know contingency is a bucket of money. And if something comes up, we can go to contingency for payment on something. So the library would not have its own contingency line item. Is that what you're stating?
It would just go into the general government contingency.
In the general government contingency. Okay. So then it is, in a sense, yes, a reduction to their budget of $150,000. Is that understood? What? Councilor Evans, is that understood on your part?
Yes, that's understood. I think I really need to hear, or other people should provide input rather than coming back to me. I think other people need to provide what they think outside of what I've said. I'd like to hear what other counselors have to say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're just trying to get an understanding of what your proposition was, though. So, going back to that for clarification, does anyone, starting with Councilor Gamble, do you have any more comments on that?
No, I understand now that the clarification makes me even more sure of my position of a no cut.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Kozakowski.
I echo exactly the same thing.
Councilor
Councilor
Kubowski. Okay, Councilor Evans and Councilor Leidecker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I was willing to support Councilor Evans until I heard that the contingency really is just up for grabs. I think the whole purpose here was we are struggling with unfilled positions at the library, and those funds are being shifted to purchase materials, buy new printers, et cetera, and they're not being used for the purpose of salaries. And our children department is struggling to a certain extent with it. I mean, we haven't had a reference librarian for almost 2 years. So I understand where the sentiment was that money needed to be put aside essentially for the salaries. It does concern me that we're talking, it's not that $100,000 in contingency is not earmarked just for the library. I think that was the purpose, to make sure it was solely just for salaries when those positions got hired. So at this point in time, I would probably be comfortable with a $50,000 cut.
Thank you, Councilor Leidecker. Moving on, Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can support the Evans plan. I think it's a good plan. I think our concerns is not to run the library, but we have positions that have not been filled, some of them for 1.5 years. So this was a way to say, we want to give some incentive. Here's this $100,000. By the way, we control the contingency account, so we can keep accurate records and say, hey, we can't go below this number because that $100,000 is for those positions at the library. So we're the ones who are in control. So I support the Evans plan. I think it's a good plan. I think it will still fund the positions, which is important to the library.
And Deputy Mayor King?
Based on the numbers, I had a $45,000 cut, but and that was for professional services. I'm not sure what those are exactly. So I'm comfortable with the $50,000 cut. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and myself. I'd like to speak directly to the Board of Directors, if I could. The Board of Directors have a fiduciary responsibility for the budget of the library. And an email was sent out today to ask for some updated information that we have yet to receive. I'm comfortable with the $50,000 cut, only for the sheer fact that what is presented to us in your budget are for specific items. But then to learn that $79,000 or $39,000 is spent on books. I understand that it's a library, I understand you buy books. There is no line item for books. What ends up happening is money comes out of various other accounts, and the money is spent, and when we get our weekly budget from the library, we see that there is an over expenditure in some accounts, and you look at that and you wonder where that money is coming from. I truly hope that it's not coming from the salaries, because we don't have enough employees that are at the library now for full-time staff. I would like to say that I didn't appreciate the statement that was in the letter that we received at our last meeting that stated, if you do any cuts to the library, we're gonna have to close on Sunday. Well, here's the fact. You've been operating since 2021 with very limited staff, and you have not closed, and you're still doing a fantastic job over there. So with the limited staff that you do have, and you do intend to hire some more staffing, of which we know, and you do have your part-time folks for Sundays, as you have said, and you also need to find the full-time employees. So I would ask the Board of Directors to have a tighter hold on the budget on a monthly basis and on any of the transfers and any of the monies that are being spent. I know it does go through our munis. I know it goes through Ms. Perry, and I know that you can work with Ms. Perry, and she helps with writing the checks, whatever your purchases are. But I would like to see it reflected in the minutes on a monthly basis. You know, just a suggestion to the Board of Directors on any of your finances of your line items and any purchases that you're doing, so we can have an accurate accounting of what the library budget is doing. For 2 years, I looked back, I've looked at the line items, and I've seen monies being moved around, almost like a shell game. Monies are being moved around from one line item to the next line item for things that are being purchased. And when we look at this present budget, we have a, Ms. Perry, I believe it's furniture equipment, office equipment is in there, and that was $22,000, and that was for the purchase of an awning and the recovering of furniture back in 2021. But you didn't receive, it was for the 2021 budget, but you didn't receive the transfer until November 2022, or something like that. Help me out here.
It was for fiscal '22, but the bills didn't come in till November, December, when the audit was complete. So they needed to be put in this current year.
So, and that does not exist for next year, correct? That line item's not there for next year. So with that said, working with Ms. Perry and getting the transfers in on a monthly basis, if there is funding of that or monies of that, that would be fantastic, so we can have an accurate accounting of what is happening on the library, with the library. I'm in favor of a $50,000 cut, absolutely. Have I looked at the transfers of funds from one account to another account? Absolutely. And if you want a line item for books, tapes, then make a line item for that. What is it gonna cost though? How much do you spend every year on that? We don't have that in the budget. Does that fall under operating? We didn't get a very good explanation this year about the budget. So in the future, working with the library, I like to find a solution and not just complain. But I'd like to find a solution to work better with the library board with their budget, working with our town, not necessarily going into contingency and having control over funding. I mean, that's my position and that's where I stand. And I'm being as respectful as possible to the Board of Directors here this evening. And I'm asking, let's find a solution and make this work a little bit better on the budgeting, and work with the council with a better explanation. We really didn't get that whole real in-depth explanation this year as we have in the past.
So I would appreciate that in the future if we could work on that. And I think that's all I have to say on that. So, thank you. And now, moving on to the condo fee.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to recuse myself from this line item.
Absolutely. Okay, Counselor Gamble.
Hold, please.
I'm sorry?
Hold, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm in favor of this cut.
I'm sorry, Counselor Gamble, what?
I'm in favor of
You're in
this
favor?
cut, yes.
Thank you. Counselor Kozakowski.
I'm also in favor of this cut.
Counselor Kubaski.
I'm in favor of this cut.
Counselor Evans.
I'm in favor of this cut.
Counselor Leidecker.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King.
Cut.
That's a yes?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Myself, yes. Thank you.
Mr. Maniscalco, can you retrieve Councilor Paterno, please?
Thank you, Counselor Gamble.
Sorry.
Mr. Maniscalco, could you please get Counselor Paterno?
Oh, no.
No, he's gone.
Where'd he go?
Give me 2 seconds, thank you. Are we back? Okay. We've received new information for the parks trash. Mr. Maniscalco and Mr. Caldwell are here to give us some new updated information, please.
I'm sure Mr. Caldwell would like to go over his plans
Instead
and
of,
research.
our
that
original
he did.
number was $71,000. Where are we at, Mr. Caldwell?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How is everyone?
Wonderful.
As you know, we spoke last week. Our original budget line item is $71,000. I want to personally thank All American Waste for working with me as diligently as they have. Brian and Mark have both answered every phone call I've made to them, which is probably 20. We've gotten this down to where our garbage is picked up twice a week. They have offered to double the cans that we have, pick up the garbage once a week. I also feel that we can make a trash reduction in some areas. We don't need quite as many cans as we need. And I'm just going to throw, our current is a 7-month program. We could, if you're looking for even more money, we could bring it down to a 6-month program and maybe, but the problem is it's in April until November 1st, April 1st to November 1st. You could lose it a little in the beginning and a little bit at the end if you wish. You can leave it as it is. But a 7-month program, I've got down to $34,000 from 71. A 6-month program would be approximately $28,800.
Okay. Let's go with the numbers again, please, slowly. Mr. Caldwell. 7-month program is how much?
Is going to be, this is an approximate number because when we reduce the program a little bit, Mark and Brian have to get back to me with exact numbers. This number could go up slightly or it could go down slightly. Most likely it'll be
Estimate.
right in this,
Sure.
thank you. A 7-month program would be $34,000. Let me put my glasses on, make my life easy.
That would be helpful.
A total cost would be approximately $34,600. A 6-month program would be approximately $28,800.
28,000?
800.
800. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Caldwell? Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So if I understand this right, so if we were to redo this wonderful chart Mr. Maniscalco put in front of us, we would change the $71,000 number to a $34,000 number for a 7-month program. So we would, because we're now voting to cut $34,000, right? You got it down to $34,000.
Cost, I believe.
So the cost of the
the program is 34?
The cost will become $34,000.
Yeah,
Right.
so you're going to cut it by 37.
Yes, thank you.
No. well, so I read this as the program used to be $71,000, and we were looking to cut that.
No, we were looking to cut $71,000, the cost of the total program.
I thought, okay.
We're only doing cuts in terms of numbers. So the cost of the program is going to $34,000, so the cut would be 37 for the 7-month. The cost of the program for the 6-month would be $28,000, so you'd be cutting $43,000.
I'd like to call it saving.
So I'm not in favor of cutting $37,000 to have clean parks in our town. That would be my.
No, the current cost of the program right now for what
Yes.
we're paying is $71,000. We can put this same program still in
Right.
place
Right.
for $34,600.
Thank you. I think I get you, right?
Okay.
So the program, the reduction is not the reduction is 71,000 because that's the cost of the program. Now he's saying the cost of the program after having 20 conversations with All American Waste is $34,000. So now we're saying, are we going to cut $34,000 to, not have the trash
37.
pickup? And I say no.
Okay. Counselor Gamble, hang on, no. We're gonna get number verification, okay? It's a reduction of $37,000 for 7 months, Mr. Maniscalco, correct?
Essentially what happened is Mr. Caldwell went and found savings. So the idea is that it would be, because of those savings, you can reduce this line item. Rather than reduce it from 71, you can reduce it by $37,000. So the line item then goes to $34,000, which allows him to do basically the same thing that he's done this current year, next year.
At our last meeting, we asked Mr. Caldwell to go back and to renegotiate the
Yes.
contract with
All American
Waste, which he did.
Yes.
So they gave him new numbers to do the same job
Right.
with a reduction in some cans at some locations.
Yes, the main way they're gonna save money is they're only gonna dump our garbage once a week, but let's just say, for example, there are 20 garbage cans at Rice Street Park, which there are. They would put 40 there.
Yep.
Well, there's 10 there. They would put 20 there, I'm sorry. So now they're gonna put 10 there and they're gonna dump it once a week instead of,
I get, right.
We're
20
getting the
there.
same services, better services, but with a reduction in cost because he went and renegotiated what we asked him to do.
Right, so
How much was the program originally?
$71,000.
How much is the program now?
Now it will be for the
34.
same, it'll be $34,600. I gotta leave my glasses on.
Same program, same everything. It's just a reduction because he went and renegotiated.
Right.
This is a win.
Right, so it's a cut either 42,000 or 36,000. That's what we're cutting from at the moment.
We were asked to cut 71, maybe.
That's to reduce the whole program.
Right,
We're not
and so,
doing that.
and so now we're doing the same thing, right? We're saying, do we want to
No.
cut the whole
No.
program? Yes, we were
No.
always saying, these are all things we're going to cut, 0, 0, 0. I'm saying I'm not cutting 0.
To the new cost, if we
And I am by saying I don't want to cut it,
Okay,
right?
yes, so you want the program in either 6 or 7 months, so
Yeah,
you're.
at 7 months,
Yes, so
yeah,
you're agreeing to either 34,600
Yes.
or 28,800
right,
as that line item instead of 71.
correct, yes. I just want everybody to.
So you're saying you still want to keep it at $71,000?
No, it's not.
What are you saying?
Cut of 0.
A cut of 0. 30, I'm agreeing. Let's go with the 7-month program for $34,000, a cut of 0.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to ask. Okay.
Yes.
Are you in favor of the 7-month program or the 6-month program?
The 7-month program.
The 7-month program. Thank you.
I think the one challenge is you're working off of the manager's budget, which has a cost of $71,000 in it. So you have to, if the new cost of the program is 34, you're actually making reduction.
Technically, yes.
Yeah,
So
reduction in that line item.
We have to make the numbers work.
Yeah.
Counselor Kubowski.
Hold on, I didn't go yet.
Oh, I'm sorry?
I didn't go yet.
I'm sorry, Counselor Kozakowski. That's what I meant to say, sorry.
Yo.
I'm all riled here now. Jamie Gamble, Counselor Gamble, chill out. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I
Yes.
give my number, I think one, maybe two questions of Mr. Caldwell. This is going to sound silly, but what are some things typically thrown out in our trash cans?
I'd like to say I've never been through them. Just so everybody that I know in town knows I've never been through them. You know, I think our trash program, one thing I did notice when I was out there is that our recycling cans are smaller. That's one thing that All American Waste is going to correct. They're going to get us a larger recycling can. I think the most common thing are probably coffee cups and water bottles.
Okay.
Or Gatorade bottles, or sports drinks bottles, or.
Do you ever
and
find? I'm sorry.
dog bags.
And what?
Dog bags.
Dog bags?
A lot of dog bags.
The poop bag, okay. And probably some food containers?
Yep.
So right now it gets picked up twice a week, right? And these are through the spring and hot summer months, right?
Yes.
I don't have a dog, but my neighbor did, and we share trash cans. And when those bags sit in the trash can for days and days, they become very smelly. And same thing with food containers not in bags. And I think while it seems like you're representing that you can get the same level of service between our current program and the cost reduction program, but I think it's not exactly the same service. Getting picked up twice a week sounds a lot more sanitary and comfortable for the users than a garbage pail that's only collected once a week.
The one thing I will add, that All American Waste picks up our dog park barrels for free. They don't charge us for that. That will continue at twice a week.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a bonus there. The rest of the parks, you know, I got to say, as far as like food and we'll say animals tipping garbage, I don't think I've really ever seen it. The wind more blows our garbage cans over than anything else. So maybe once a week they'll be a little heavier and they won't blow over as much.
When they get picked up twice a week right now, are they generally full, the barrels?
No. Some are, some are not. Depends on what happens at the parks. At Rice Street Park, there may be the soccer or football or lacrosse may be handing out their uniforms and their clothing. Sometimes they'll get filled with boxes because, well, football actually has their own dumpsters, so they're pretty good about it. At the high school level, you know, it could be whether there's a large event, whether it's cross-country or something like that, they might be filled that week. But on average, I actually went to all the parks today and looked at all the garbage cans, and I only found one garbage can that was full.
Wow. Okay, so you're confident that after a week, after the 6th day or the 7th day, that these garbage cans won't be overflowing, lids up, exploding out,
Well,
trash
I hope
falling
not,
on the
because,
floor?
I mean, we have that now
on the
at
ground?
times, when people will put the garbage right next to the garbage because it's full, because it's just easier, instead of going maybe to the next garbage can down. But I think with being able to double the amount of cans there, that should hopefully curb that. I mean, I think what my goal here is to say that we're gonna preserve the trash program because, you know, even though it is a luxury to the town, it's one of those, I'll call it a necessary evil because, and like I said, our crew still does pick up a ton of garbage, and we will continue to do that. And this was the best way I could find to make a reasonable savings to that program without cutting it.
So Counselor Kozakowski, are you willing to
Yeah.
go for the 7-month or 6-month?
Definitely the 7th month as opposed to the 6th month. I'm hesitant to changing the program, but in the effort to save some dollars, I'd be willing to reduce the budget by the delta of the change in the programs, whatever that number ends up being.
Thank you. Counselor Kabowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Caldwell, thank you for all the work you did on this over the last week. I'm very comfortable with going with the 7-month program.
Thank you. Counselor Evans?
Thank you. So last week, I said that I was not comfortable with the $71,000 reduction, but I was comfortable because I had thought you were. Are you comfortable with these reductions? Or these changes, I should say?
As much as I never want to sit in your seat, I don't want to be the guy that cut the trash program, so. I think it's a very reasonable and substantial savings to the program that the public will appreciate very, very much. And the one thing I have found about All American Waste is they are a great company to deal with. If we come to a problem in a park and I find out these are getting full every week, we have a problem, they have odor to them, we got a problem, they'll switch out cans, we can make changes to the program. I found, like I said, I called Brian or Mark and they answered the phone every time I called. I didn't get, please hold, press 1 or 2 or anything like that, and I have their cell numbers and they have mine. So, like I said, it's been a great company to deal with, and I think that they would be open to changes that we had to make, running changes along the way and throughout the year. So if we found out we have 6 empty cans at one location week after week after week, and we have full cans at another location week after week, we could make a wholesale change, and they would just say, okay, John.
That's nice to know. Councilor Evans?
So I think because we are doubling our cans, we have that flexibility, we are still keeping a program and not eliminating it altogether. And because it's similar to like what we have at our homes, right? Like we get picked up once a week. I'm comfortable with the 7-month plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Leidecker?
So as a mom, I have learned children are hoarders. They will pick up absolutely everything and anything possible. So I was very hesitant about losing the trash program because then all of that's going to end up in my car, and then somehow it's going to end up in my home and in their rooms, and it gets very gross. I'm not the only mom who experiences this. But also, we just create a lot of trash. I mean, you want to go out to a nice picnic in the park, and it's not always going to be easy to pick everything back up and take it home with you. So I think the fact that we're keeping the trash program is a benefit to the town. I think it's going to help keep the parks clean. So I thank you for the work, and I will support the 7-month program.
Thank you. Councilor Paterno?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Caldwell, because, you know, this discussion started with eliminate the trash program altogether. So I appreciate the fact that you went to the company, renegotiated with them, and you're in I think, a good position today, so I'm happy to support the 7-month program. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor King?
7 months.
Thank you. Myself, 7 month. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell, for all the hard work that you did, and please thank All American Waste for their cooperation working with the town over all these years. Really appreciate them.
I will, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the emergency management training, Councilor Gamble.
Yeah, I know. Right now. I think I spoke about this last time. My position hasn't changed. I'm in favor of cutting this for this
Thank
coming
you.
year.
Councilor Kozkowski.
In favor of cutting.
Councilor Kabasky.
I am a yes on this cut.
Councilor Evans.
Yes.
Councilor Leidecker.
So I just want to confirm, I believe this actually came from the staff themselves, that they were okay with cutting this tabletop training and they could do it next year instead?
Well, I mean, there's some staff that would love to do this year, but it's a difficult budget year, as we've discussed, and when looking for cuts, this was one of the ones that we thought could be done in the following fiscal year.
Okay, then I'm okay with the cut.
Thank you. Councilor Paterno.
Thank you. Yes, I'm okay with this cut.
Deputy Mayor King. Myself, yes. Thank you. Moving on to the building scanner, please. $40,000. Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to change my position after last week's discussion. I would like to, I know this project is taking a long time and it has still a long way to go, but I think it's an important project worth doing and continuing, and so I would like to see some momentum carry forward for the next year, so I'm in favor of a $20,000 cut, not a $40,000 cut.
Okay. Councilor Kozkowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am in agreement with Councilor Gamble, a 20,000. Well, I would prefer zero cut, but in the art of, for the sake of compromise, I am okay with a $20,000 cut. I know it was discussed last time of if we don't cut it fund it this year, then we can fund it next year. But projects like this need to be funded every year to at least keep it going. If we don't fund it this year, there's probably a good chance that it doesn't get funded again next year. So I just want to keep some momentum going in the project and allocate $20,000 to that project.
Thank you. Councilor Kabasky.
I'm a yes on this cut.
Counselor Evans? And that's at the total, 40,000. Counselor Evans?
Yes, cut, 40,000?
40,000? Yes, okay. Let me just write that, please. Counselor Lidecker?
And if you can just remind me, Mr. Maniscalco, since I was not here last week, if I remember correctly, the scanning that they were doing was actual like building permits and certificate of occupancy for houses and some of those documents that were required to keep by the state indefinitely?
Yeah, so they're building plans, the actual plans for people's homes.
And how far into the project are they? Like, are they current with it? Is there an enormous backlog?
So currently, when we get building plans, we get them electronic. So moving forward, we're fine. It's the historic ones that we're trying to work our way through. How far through them they are, I think we've got a long ways to go.
And this was essentially, they were packing them up and sending them off-site to a company who is doing this for us?
So we have a significant number of building plans that are actually kept at Iron Mountain that we pay for, because we don't have the appropriate space to keep them and keep them safe at this point. So it's packing them from Iron Mountain to the consultant and then back to Iron Mountain again.
So I think I'll join Councilor Kozakowski and Gamble, and I'll go with a $20,000 cut.
Thank you. Counselor Paterno?
Yes, for this cut, as is.
As is.
Yeah.
Okay. Deputy Mayor King?
Last week I said no cut. Last week I still say no cut. Last week I said no cut. I still say no cut. In a previous life, I used to work with e-discovery, which is electronic discovery. And I believe that if we don't do this, all it takes is one fire, and that's it. And all that information, all those different things are lost. We need to move forward. And if this is one of the things that we need to save in order to move forward, then I'm not willing to cut that. So I'm with a no cut.
Thank you. Just give me 1 second, please. I'm sorry. I'm good at the $20,000 cut. I'm just trying to get a sense of where we are here. If you give me 1 second. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. And then moving on to the diesel contract, that's a $20,000 savings. That's an automatic given. Okay, so that's a consensus.
That's just, I'm sorry, Mr. Maniscalco, is that just built in?
What?
Is that just a built-in savings, like we're getting that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the contract
Okay.
between my budget and coming to all of you. We finished that contract and it had a savings of $20,000. All
right.
Why do I have that? We have a note, that's why. Got it, okay. Okay, so I have the tally sheet here in front of me, and Mr. Maniscalco, hopefully you've kept the same thing up with me as we went through. I will say that we have a consensus on capital. We have a consensus on the Wapping. We have a consensus on the Leaf. We have a 4 yes, 2 no, 1 abstention on the probate. So that's a yes, that's a 4 there. We have a consensus on the HR. On the library, we have 4 at 50,000, and we have 3 no's, and we have 2 at 150,000. So that's the 50,000 on that, and then we
Madam
have.
Mayor? We have 3 50Ks, 3 no's, and
For which
2
one?
150s for library.
We have,
There's no consensus.
you've abstained.
Nope, for
No,
library.
that's the top.
Oh, library,
There's
wait,
no
let me get there.
consensus on the library.
What am I doing wrong?
Perhaps
Wait a minute.
Perhaps Councilor
1,
Kerner
2,
and I.
3 no's, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 50,000s for the library.
3 50,000s.
I have, oh, you know why, I'm sorry. The proposed, I counted that as 1, I'm sorry, thank you. 1, 2, 3, yes, we have 3 50,000s, not 4, correct? And we have 2 at the 150, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
And then we have 3 no's. So we have a tie on that one. Okay?
Could, Madam Mayor, maybe myself and Mr. Paterno, Council Paterno could revisit our input since we are the minority?
Oh, please.
Was that?
Yeah. Counselor Evans?
I'll support the $50,000 cut.
You what?
The $50,000 cut?
Okay, thank you. Let me get there. Okay, so that's 2 more added on to the 3, and that would make it a 5 for the 50,000, 3 for the no, and then the 150 is gone. Is everyone good with that? Everybody get that? Okay. Okay. And then moving on to the condo fees, that's a 7, and 1 is recuse himself, so the yes on that one. That's okay. And then the park trash, we have the 7-month, yes, consensus. I'm sorry, sir?
I think we have to deal with dollar values.
Yeah,
What would be the
37.
dollar? 37 would be the,
Yes, 37. Yes, I'm sorry.
thank you.
And then emergency management is a consensus. The building plan, I have 4 20,000s, 3 40,000s, and 1 no. So the 20,000s has that. And then the diesel contract is a yes. So, Mr. Maniscalco, with reviewing all those numbers, can you... Ms. Perry?
Total
I'm sorry,
point of order.
Counselor Evans?
Can I ask just one question about the parks trash? Wasn't it 34,600, so wouldn't it be a reduction of 36,400?
34,600 would be a reduction.
Not 37.
or just call it 35.
So it would be a reduction of 36,400. Thank you.
Close, it's 37, yeah, 36,400. 36,400 for the trash on the expense of it.
So total in cuts that the council, if the council were to vote on the cuts that they're proposing, is $976,400.
Madam Mayor, if Councilor Evans was able to change one of her numbers, I would like to change one of mine.
Certainly, Counselor Kozakowski.
I will change my yes for the $10,000 probate court to a no, so that would be a 0.
Let me get there, please. Probate court, Counselor Kozakowski is a no. Okay, so that's a 3 no on probate.
10, 5, 0, 0, 0.
Yes, we're still cutting for probate, yes.
3 10Ks, 5K, and 3 zeros.
Yeah, yeah.
Counselor Kubowski. We started out at what number? And we're only down to less than $1 million.
We started out at, in total, as far as total budget, 145,788,278. With the cuts we have tonight, we are at, I just had it and I lost it.
We were at $2.3 million cuts, weren't we? Mr. Maniscalco in the beginning?
In the beginning, yes.
In the beginning, we were at 2.3.
Your total budget number is $144,811,878.
Madam Mayor, we started out with the budget group of cuts of 2,320,000.
Right.
And we've ended at just under 977,000.
Not even $1 million.
Mr. Maniscalco, can you just, because my numbers are coming up differently, the numbers that Thank you. The number that I came up with for cuts was 937,000. So if we can just really quickly, so capital I have, we're cutting 700,000. Whopping is 16,000.
Yeah.
And then probate is 10,000.
Human resources at 19.
19,
Library at 50.
condo
Condos
75.
at 75.
Trash 37.
36.4.
Oh, emergency is 30K, okay. I
Emergency
just had a yes, I
management
didn't
at
have the
30.
number.
Building scanning at 20, and diesel at 20.
Gotcha, thank you so much.
Yep.
Just
Counselor Evans?
point of clarification, just Counselor Kozakowski said I changed my vote? Is that what you said? You said that, because I changed.
I changed my use that
I
word
was- point of
loosely, my
clarification.
recommendation for the probate.
You didn't change yours. You had an opportunity to go back and address something, so he asked for an opportunity to go back and.
Which are you saying because of the library change? Or the trash change?
Probate.
The library, no, the library changed because you changed the library, he said.
The only reason I changed library is so we could get a consensus, but I didn't change it just to change it, just.
No, he was just pointing out that you had the opportunity to
I mean-
change, so he would have liked the opportunity
It was
to
an
change.
Yeah, this is a fun
That's what it
exercise.
is.
It's not a vote.
Right.
No,
No,
it's,
no, I
it's
just-
getting a consensus to get us to a number
Right.
to reduce our budget. And as I'm pointing out, we started at $2.3 million reduction in our budget, correct? And now we're less than $1 million.
Kudos to the town manager for providing a tight budget.
Can we
what?
ask Ms. Perry, with this 976,400 reduction, what does that change essentially by dollars in our pocket?
$13.
And I think that's why I would prefer to hold off until next week to vote, because do our citizens want us to cut $13 a year for some of the services here, or do they not? I mean, we're cutting $700,000 from capital. That's probably the biggest one. I'm just one of 9, but do we want to make that decision for the citizens, $13 or not $13, or do we want to give them the opportunity to come in and say, I want to pay that 13 or I don't? Just my 2 thoughts, 2 cents.
Tough year, Councilor
Mayor,
Paterno.
yeah. Can I just ask what the mill rate would be?
The mill rate with the cuts that were proposed, it would bring the mill rate to 33.14.
33.14, okay, thank you.
33.14.
And where was the proposed budget originally?
It was 33.42.
Oh, so it's just the opposite of the last 2 numbers. So I'd like to, we are in a discussion at this point in time on the budget. Do we think we can come up with another $1 million between now and next week? I highly doubt it. We started at the 2.3 million and we're less than $1 million right now. Councilor Kubasky, is there anything that we can pull out of our magic hat? Mr. Maniscalco?
I would tell you at this point, I don't know if Councilor Kubasky has anything else, but from my perspective, without making a significant impact to service delivery to the community, I don't think there's additional cuts you can find.
We do have a duty and obligation to provide safety, health, and welfare for our community and the services to our community. We've had weeks to go over this budget. Councilor Kubasky, go ahead.
I would just say, we did have some items in here, like the leaf collection, that was a big hitter and stuff, and we've heard from the residents that they don't want to see that cut. A number of them have said they would rather pay for that than see it gone. So I think that's kind of what we're hearing.
You know, we still continue to provide the services that, and they're willing to pay for the leaf collection, and they're willing, you know, we've heard that a million times. It's a very difficult year. We've already been given a slim budget from the beginning. Mr. Maniscalco cut off $1.2 million before it was even presented to us. I think that we've spent enough time going through the budget on a weekly basis on our own, going through each department, reviewing everything, revisiting this. The Budget Working Group brought forward their recommendations on a cut. We revisit the numbers again this evening, and I think this is the bottom line for our reductions. I don't think another week is going to make a difference. But I think, you know, I hate to say this is the best we can do, but pretty much this is the best we can do. We have digested, we have broken it down, we have reviewed it, we have looked at everything. I think that we need to move forward with approving this budget so we can move on with other town business. I don't think we can find anything else anywhere else. It's a very tight year for us. So that would be my recommendation, is to move on. We're in the discussion right now. We have the resolution on the floor, and we would need the new numbers from Ms. Perry for this budget to move forward with this resolution.
So the general government budget that I have is $56,590,536.
Repeat that, please. 5-6.
590,536.
Okay, that would be the number that goes into that. Deputy Mayor King has read. Could you please reread that again, Deputy Mayor King, with the actual number?
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby adopts a general government budget with expenditures totaling $56,590,536 for the fiscal year commencing on July 1st, 2023, and terminating on June 30th, 2024, a copy of which budget is on file in the office of the town clerk.
We already had a second on that, so we're good with that. We were just correcting the number. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Yep. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Aye. You're
No.
opposed? Counselor Gamble? Can we get a roll call, please?
Counselor Evans?
Yes.
Counselor Kabasky?
Yes.
Counselor Paterna?
Yes.
Mayor Pendleton?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King?
Yes.
Counselor Kozakowski?
Yes.
Counselor Gamble?
No.
Counselor Leidecker?
Okay, we have 7 yeses and 1 no. Is that correct, Ms. Poma? Yes.
Right.
Is everything okay? Okay. Okay, so the resolution passes. Moving on to Counselor Evans, please. 13E.
13E, resolution adopting the budget for the Special Revenue Recreation Fund for fiscal year 2023-2024. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby adopts a Special Revenue Recreation Fund budget with expenditures totaling $2,830,817 for the fiscal year commencing on July 1, 2023, and terminating on June 30th, 2024, a copy of which budget is on file in the town clerk's office.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Any discussion? I'm sorry. Counselor Gamble?
Madam Mayor, thank you, Madam Mayor. What is this for, Mr. Maniscalco?
So this is the special revenue fund for the Parks and Rec Department and the budget associated with how they use that. It's in your.
What do they buy out of this budget?
They operate programs, they buy equipment and other
Oh, I'm sorry.
items for-
Okay. Yep.
You good, Counselor Gamble?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Counselor Evans?
Thank you. Is this an allocation of taxpayer money, or this is money that was earned by Parks and Rec that is being put into a
These
fund?
are funds that are generated from user fees for programs and then are allocated to help offset taxpayer dollars.
Okay, so no cost to taxpayers.
This is not additional tax revenue.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Aye, not hearing any. Okay. Moving on. The motion carries. Moving on to 13F, resolution setting the tax rate. Counselor Paterna.
If I have the numbers, if you would like me to read them to you.
Yeah,
and
thank
then
you.
Please, Mr. Maniscalco.
Okay. So the first tax rate of 33.14 mils.
0.14, yes.
And then if you go down, expenditures of $144,811,878. Then you have the Board of Education budget of $88,221,342. A capital projects budget of $3.3 million.
Right.
And a general government budget of $53,290,536.
And on the second line, that 22 million does not change.
That stays the
Right.
same.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a resolution setting the tax rate for fiscal year 2023-2024. Be it resolved that the tax rate of 33.14 mils be levied on the grand list of October 1st, 2022, based upon total revenues excluding current taxes of $22,015,690, which includes an appropriation from fund balance in the amount of, zero, right? That stays zero. And an appropriation from the Tax Stabilization Fund in the amount of $500,000 to finance total expenditures of $144,811,878, made up of a Board of Education budget of $88,221,342, a capital projects budget of $3.3 million, and a general government budget of $53,290,536, all of which have been adopted by the South Windsor Town Council for the fiscal year commencing on July 1, 2023, and terminating on June 30th, 2024.
Is there a second? And is there any discussion?
I just want to point out that our present mill rate is 38.77, and this sets the mill rate, drops it to 33.14. I think that's important for people to understand about what we try to do with the budget. Thank you.
Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you just, Mr. Maniscalco, can you explain a little bit about the use of the $500,000 out of the Tax Stabilization Fund, and let us know what the balance of that fund is currently?
Sure. So annually, the town has put together a tax stabilization fund and funded that for a lot longer than I've even been here. And essentially, what ends up happening is, on an annual basis, the town allocates $500,000 out of that fund, which is consistent with the policy, to help stabilize the tax increase potentially. Typically, what ends up happening is we run our budget as best we possibly can and find as many savings as we possibly can, and knock on wood, we have another light winter, and we're able to not have to use that $500,000.
Okay.
And I believe we have a balance in there.
Do you have a general idea what the balance of that fund is?
The general balance of it right now is $3.2 million. The max you can use per policy is $500,000.
Okay. Is there a kind of a best practice of a value to have in that fund, you know, relative to the annual budget?
Yeah, so the 3.2 to have in that fund is pretty good. I mean, that's the max of what we can have in it, so it's not like we're trying to go above that. So I think that's about where we want to be. Ideally, your credit rating agencies are going to be looking for us to actually not use it, even though we have it. I think they appreciate the idea that we do have it, but not to use it if we really don't need to. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I have to follow up with that and just say I'm sitting here smiling because I created that tax stabilization fund years ago, and I'm very proud of that fact, to have a forward-looking future on helping our budgets in a time of higher increases. And yes, if you look at the ordinance for that, it states how much we have to fund that every year. And I'm happy to hear that we haven't had to use it and that we were able to build it up to that amount, which I'm smiling because at the time I never thought we would get that high. So I'm very pleased that we have that. So thank you. Thank you for asking that question. So any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. and Counselor Paterno. I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution appointing a rate maker for fiscal year 2023-24. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Michael Maniscalco, Town Manager, as rate maker for fiscal year 2023-2024 and postpones consideration of this motion until the Town Council's next regularly scheduled meeting.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. Thank you. The motion carries. And Councilor Paterno, 13H.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a resolution approving a request to fly the pride flag from June 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2023. Whereas Town Manager Michael Maniscalco received, reviewed, and signed an application requesting that the pride flag be flown from June 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2023. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves this request and asks the Town Manager Michael Maniscalco have the flag raised on the flagpole at the Wapping Community House on Thursday, June 1st, 2023, and lowered on Friday, June 30th, 2023.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to I, Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving a request to fly the Public Works First Responders flag, whereas Town Manager Michael Maniscalco received, reviewed, and signed an application requesting that the Public Works First Responders flag be flown from May 19th, 2023 through May 30th, 2023. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves this request and asks that the Town Manager Michael Maniscalco have the flag raised on the flagpole at the Wapping Community House on Friday, May 19th, 2023, and lowered on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Not hearing. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 13J, Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion to approve setting a time and place for public hearing to receive citizen input on the fair rent ordinance. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby sets Monday, June 5th, 2023 at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the fair rent ordinance.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Councilor Kozakowski.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to offer a friendly amendment to this resolution and for the public hearing notice to reference the full name of the commission being the Housing and Fair Rent Commission ordinance.
Is that what it states on the ordinance? On
Correct.
The exam? Okay.
Yes.
And as a friendly amendment to that change to the resolution, everyone, is there a consensus on that? Okay. And Ms. Pomey, you have that for the reflection of the full name? Thank you. Okay, so now that we have that done, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Councilor Evans.
13K, resolution approving the transfer of $70,000 from capital non-reoccurring funds account to the recreation move to Old Orchard Hill building to meet regular building standards. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the transfer of $70,000 from the capital non-recurring account to the recreation move to Old Orchard Hill building.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Not seeing. Councilor Gamble?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, did 70,000 cover it? It seemed like things keep going up and up and up.
70,000, and I think it was another 10 that we already moved from contingency, if I remember correctly. So according to Mr. Major's calculations, that should cover it with a little contingency for him.
And so this is the last of it? This is
Yes.
once this is approved and moved in, we're good? And
Well, once this is approved and moved over, it covers the interim work that was put in place to make sure that we could get in there and operate. I do have some concerns, and as I stated during my manager's report, we still have to sit down with both the building department and fire marshal's office to find out, what they would want us to do if that becomes a more permanent location. But for the time being, this takes care of it.
And would that be a capital expense also, or would that be, how would that be funded?
Probably capital, or we'd be looking for some type of additional appropriation from somewhere. I'm not really sure. At this
Okay.
red hot moment.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any, the motion carries. Counselor Gamble, L, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution appointing Audrey Delnicki as an alternate on the Inland Wetlands Agency Conservation Commission. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Audrey Delnicki to fill the unexpired vacancy as an alternate on the Inland Wetlands Agency Conservation Commission for a term end date of December 1, 2023. Consideration of this motion is postponed until the Town Council's next regularly scheduled meeting.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Any discussion?
Yes.
Counselor Gamble?
Uh,
Okay. Counselor Paterno?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I plan on voting no on this nomination and for the next nomination as well. And I'd like to explain why. While there have been concerns about these two individuals serving on commissions, the mayor reached out to the chair of the Republican Town Committee and the chair of the Democratic Town Committee to arrange a meeting with these two individuals, and they refused to meet. So until they're ready to meet and discuss the concerns, I can't support their nomination.
Thank you, Counselor Paterno. Any other discussion? Counselor Kozakowski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think the way, I'll be in support of this resolution, at least in the spirit of the process for which the practice of having a vote being postponed to the next meeting, because in this time, you would think that this is the time where these candidates for these positions can be vetted between the meetings and understand why they want to be on these commission boards and commissions. Or I'll speak specifically to Mrs. Delnicki, why she wants to be on the an alternate on the Inland Wetlands Agency, what she offers to bring to the table. If there's any time to have a meeting, it would be in this period between moving forward with this resolution and then the actual vote on the appointment. So I think for the sake of, fair process, I'll be supporting this item.
Any other discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
And all those opposed? No. And roll call, please.
Counselor Evans?
No.
Counselor Kabasky?
Yes.
Counselor Paterno?
No.
Mayor Pendleton?
No.
Deputy Mayor King?
No.
Counselor Kozakowski?
Yes.
Counselor Gamble?
Yes.
Counselor Lidecker?
No.
Can I get that count, please, Ms. Palmer, when you're done?
Five noes, 3 yeses.
Thank you. Motion does not carry. Thank you. Moving on. Counselor Gamble.
Resolution appointing Richard Balboni as an alternate on the Water Pollution Control Authority. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Richard Balboni to fill a vacancy as an alternate on the Water Pollution Control Authority for a term end date of November 30, 2023. Consideration of this motion will be postponed until the Town Council's next regularly scheduled meeting.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Counselor Gamble? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Deputy. Sorry, Counselor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, I will not support this nomination. I think the time has passed for the meeting. The extension was made to meet and sit together and talk about it, and they turned it down. That opportunity was already there, and they passed it up. So why would, I can't support these two nominations now. And I just want to point out that just in case somebody tries to distort the facts, every single Republican who's come before this council to be nominated has been endorsed unanimously. I know people out there want to say we're not approving Republicans. That's not true. And when you don't accept a chance for a meeting to talk with the mayor about what the issues are, then I can't support the nomination.
Thank you. Counselor Gamble? Oh, Counselor Kozakowski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, just for the sake of process, due process to this individual and for the integrity of why we do what we do. I think we should be supporting this resolution and take serious consideration at the next meeting.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Evans?
No.
Counselor Kabowski?
Yes.
Counselor Paterna?
No?
Mayor Pendleton?
No.
Deputy Mayor King?
No.
Counselor Kozakowski?
Yes.
Counselor Gamble?
Yes.
Counselor Lidecker?
Can I get a roll call, please, on that number?
Five yes. I'm sorry, 5 no, 3 yes.
Thank you. The motion does not carry. And going on, Deputy Mayor King, please, and
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving a refund of taxes to 3 residents, the total of said refunds being $307.99. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves a refund of taxes to 3 South Windsor taxpayers, the total of said refunds being $307.99, and is more fully described on attachment Exhibit B.
is there a second? Is there any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Number 14, passage of ordinance. We have none. Number 15 is public input for any matter. Public input for any matter shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern and give their names and address. Speaker shall avoid any personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speaker may address the council on any item. The speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council on any matter other than what is on the agenda? Good evening, Ms. Stelnicki.
I requested through the Freedom of Information Act the video of the agenda-setting meeting that was held on May 8th for this town council meeting. It was during this meeting that the clerk of the council stated there were no first reads. I don't understand how that can be when the nomination form was submitted by the South Windsor RTC to the clerk of the council. It was also requested by the chair of the nominating committee that a receipt of the form was acknowledged. The chair of the nominating committee never received an acknowledgement that the nomination form was received by the clerk of the council. This leads me to believe, my opinion, that the mayor asked the clerk not to acknowledge receipt. The nomination form has the following instructions for town committees to follow. All appointments or reappointments are to be submitted to the town council office on the Monday prior to the council meeting. If they are not received on the Monday prior to the council meeting, appointments or reappointments will not be put on that agenda and would need to wait until the following town council meeting. The forms for the nomination was submitted to the clerk of the council on May 3rd, well within the timeline. If Councilor Gamble was not part of this meeting, these nominations would not have been added to tonight's agenda. Councilor Gamble asked about the nomination form, and the clerk of the council acknowledged that she had it. It is insulting that these 2 nominations were segregated from the rest of the nominations. These 2 nominations should have been included under the consent agenda as a first read. What is also insulting is that these 2 nominations were placed near the very end of the agenda after 2 resolutions for flying flags. This council's majority of continuing this crusade of retaliation against 2 Republicans for reasons that have never been given. And we never said that, and no smirking, Madam Mayor, we have never said no about meeting. You have denied us a reason in public. So we're asking for that reason in public. We're not going to do any closed-door meetings so you can deny that anything was ever said. And we were the only two out of all the Republicans that had been nominated that you approved. Two. This retaliation has got to stop. And in essence, it's discrimination as well. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak to council on any matter? Is there anyone else from the public?
I didn't quite get to finish what I was saying before, but that's okay. The budget's all set now, I guess. Mrs. Delnicki pretty much covered the details of what happened, so I will not bore you with a recap of the same, but I wanted my voice to be heard as well. You can claim to be as transparent as you want, yet the only thing transparent about you is your hatred of two Republicans that just want to serve their community. That hatred blinds you from doing the greater good as you continue on your crusade of retaliation for some perceived slight that most of you can't even put into words, or at least have failed to do so for almost a year and a half. If you could step down off your high horses and show a modicum of courtesy and decency to two humble residents and tell us why we are so hated and unworthy of serving on boards and commissions, maybe, just maybe, I could find it in my heart and soul to forgive your cowardice. And Madam Mayor, thanks for keeping my seat warm.
Is there anyone else from the public? Right at the base, there you go, thank you.
Now can you hear me?
Absolutely.
I'm John Bayreuther, Bereuter, T4 St. Mark Circle. I've spoken to you before. And I'm single, no children, but I believe in education. And I expect my property taxes are going to go up about 28% because my valuation went up about 48%. I'm one of those folks who live in condominiums. And I learned by listening to all of you that, yes, we pay for our own snow removal, trash removal, etc. We'll forgive you that. And I am happy that the education budget passed. And I'm happy that as you listen to the various arguments for things, you might say, well, let's see if we can reduce money here. Then the next week you'd hear reasons why maybe that wasn't a good idea, so you reconsidered. Whether you agreed or didn't agree, I like that you reconsidered. So, yes, I'm a Dwight Eisenhower Republican, also you, Scott, and William Scranton, if you know Pennsylvania politics. It'll cost me $1,000 to say this, but, well, what the heck. I'm pleased that you passed the education budget.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council on any matter other than what's on the agenda? Anyone else from the public? Going a third time, anyone else from the public? Not hearing any, we'll be moving on, thank you. To communications from the council, please, item 16. Is there any communications from the council? Not hearing any or seeing any? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Paterno. I've been missing you all night, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'd like to make a request of the council, and I'm going to send a note to the mayor to request this officially be on the agenda for next meeting, but I think it's about time that we challenge the Planning and Zoning Commission and ask them why it's taken 2 years to find a compromise solution to get that Geisler's project going. Something is not right. It doesn't smell right. I know for a fact, because they talked about it at a meeting, that these new plans were sent to the state of Connecticut to approve the sidewalk on Sullivan Avenue, and I'd just like to know what was their response. That's not part of the lawsuit. We just need to know what the response was. And why is it not possible to find a solution? We have found solutions before with other developers. I think the council has to take a stand here. 2 years is ridiculous. So I will be making a request to the mayor to have it on the agenda for the June meeting. And I wonder if we can invite Michelle Light from the planning department, Carrie Olson, who has been the attorney in that project, and the entire planning and zoning commission.
It's a big
Thank
meeting for June 1st. You got that, Ms. Poma? Thank you. Is there any other communication from the council? Not seeing any. In executive session, we don't have any, correct, Mr. Maniscalco? None. So is there a motion to adjourn, please? Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion